Hello, my Teaserking family. The site was up this morning, and then it wasn't up this morning. So I put in a pick, and then next thing I know, I try to put another pick in, and it gives me that error again. So I'm looking for a new server company. If anybody knows one, please email me with that information so I can get the fuck away from these idiots. I looked up the error on Hey Real D. Let's get this morning. Yeah. So what'd you think of Colorado blowing a 29-0 lead yesterday? Unbelievable. So I went and I looked up on Google how to resolve the 503 error. Check resource usage. The resources that a server uses are RAM, CPU, I/O, entry processes, and website indices. Check for ongoing maintenance, stop running processes, reset firewall, check server logs, and fix the code. Restart your server and networking. Reset firewall, restart your server and networking, check your DNS. Okay, this should take 10 minutes. Who am I with? I'm with iPower. Don't ever use iPower. They've been bought out by this blue company. They're fucking morons. I mean, how this should take, I just read how to fix it. They're a server company. That's all they do. So you've hired a bunch of idiot millennials who don't know how to do anything. Probably playing their video games. And I'm sitting here for 4 days now. This went out Wednesday morning, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Certainly should have been back up Wednesday by noon. I'm looking for a phone number to call these guys, but I'll do that on Monday. Right now, I got to look for a new server and move my shit over. Well, it's they don't have defense, but I didn't think Stafford had offense. I mean, it was 29-0 at half. So how did they score 40 points in the second half? What did Colorado do offensively? So Coach Prime probably is not the coach. All right. So unfortunately, I have to check my emails. I did get a buyer this morning, but he had to go through PayPal, and then I emailed him the pics instead of going on the site. So the email of the pics is easy. You got to email it anyway. It's the payment. Just pay the email if you're interested. So I did, but it's hard. It's hard to run a business when your site can't work. Well, I get things happen. You go down for a day, but it's been 4 days. Seems like a simple issue. Maybe it's because of the war in Israel. Server traffic. But that's just, that's 1 day, not still. Real D. Yeah, laugh out loud. They one wide receiver had 200 something receiving yards yesterday. Yeah, okay, but see, here's the problem, and this is why I look at running. If they could have ran the ball, they could have ran it, taken 20 minutes off the clock in the second half, right? You run it, get a first down, you run it. But when you keep passing, if you throw an incomplete pass, the clock stops. And if you can't run, you try to run, and you don't get anywhere. You run for 2 yards, 2 yards, 2 yards, and you're punting the ball. Now, how Stanford put up all those points? Stanford only averages 10 points a game. Now you look at USC going, shit, they only put up 48 on them. But I just think you can only play Colorado over. You can't play them. I was laying 4.5. I see 29-0 at half. I go to sleep. Okay, I won this one. It'll be 56-0. And I wake up and they lost the game. I couldn't believe what I watched. So anyway, just unbelievable. So I'm frustrated enough with my site, but got a lot of good games today. Now, as you can see, it has rained, but it's not raining now, and I don't see much wind. So I don't know where they're getting this wind and rain. I've only made one bet because of the weather, but I probably would have made it without the weather. I see a lot of, I check like the Bears-Vikings game, and it's supposed to be real windy in Chicago tomorrow. Okay, so who knows the speed of the storms, and who knows how windy and everything is. So this is why it's extremely hard to play this game like this. So let's go to the lines. Colorado, Jesus Christ. So Colorado ends up losing. I mean, how do you have a 29-0 lead and lose 46-43 to a Z team? Unbelievable. So, I mean, what do? You're up 29-0. You'd have thought for sure Colorado would have won. Could you imagine money lining Stanford? I don't know what it would have been in the second half, but the money line was 390, Colorado minus 530. So that's, but it wasn't, they were down 29-0. They won the game. It couldn't have been fixed. That's ridiculous. Historically, Bears love rainy games. So what are you saying? You like Cal today? Who are Bears? Oh, the Bears? Well, with Jefferson out, I think I like them. Coach Prime was lost for words yesterday. He was so annoyed at the press conference. Well, he's going, how could Coach Prime lose a 29-0 lead at the half? Who knows? Who knows what it was? I know they scored more points. I saw that Stanford scored. It was 29-6. Then 2 minutes later, it was a 97-yard play for another touchdown, and it's 29-12. And there's 5 minutes have gone in the third quarter, and I'm glad I wasn't watching. All right, let's look at today. We got Eastern Michigan, 7.5. These are noon games, 7.5, 40.5. Now, I'm in Michigan. It's rained. I don't see 50-mile-an-hour winds here, and it isn't even raining now. It's just drizzling. So this could be a game, but it's an under team playing a Z team, so it's probably an underplay. After last night, I don't know if you can trust teams with the lead. I mean, I don't know. So 7.5, 40.5. Florida State, 18.5. So we're doing the noon games first. 18.5, 53.5. Down from 56. That's strange. And it's 18.5. Okay. So I don't know. Syracuse looks terrible. Against both Clemson and North Carolina, and here you get the best team, Florida State. Anyway, so 18.5, 53.5. Michigan, 33.5, 45.5. Was 45. So the line really, it started at 49, went down to 45 Monday or Tuesday, and just sat there. Indiana's terrible. They're more of a defense. They have no offense. Michigan, I don't think the weather's going to bother them. I don't think the rain's really going to bother them. It's not pouring out. I'm 20 minutes away. It's not pouring out here. So now again, it's 10:30 in the morning. The game's at noon. So I don't think that's going to. I think they'll run it down their throats. 33 is a big number, or you can go under the 45. 6 of one, half dozen of the other. Hey, Nick. Oregon, Utah under. Yeah, Utah under. Rising's not playing. That line has been dropping, but not the total. And Oregon, yeah, that's been going. I think Washington's 3.5 now, but let me get to it. But it's the same premise as Oklahoma. They've got an 11 defense against an 18. Now, I'm not counting for a 40-point game. I still think it goes into the 60s. I think it'll be 37, 33 or something like that. But when you can run the ball like Oregon can, they'll score in the red zone. Penix is just too tough to really, they're not going to kill Penix, but they Oregon will run the ball. And I just don't see Washington blowing them out. They do have a good defense, but since Oregon can run and it's balanced, if they are blitzing and sacking Knicks, they can run the ball. So this will be a tight game, and it's definitely going to be high scoring, at least 55-60. I'd be shocked, but keep in mind, Oregon shut out Colorado. So they do have a defense. Now, the game was at home, and this game's in Washington, but nobody else has done that. So just keep an eye on it. Washington hasn't played one of these high passing teams yet. So they got Washington, they got Oregon now. They're going to have Oregon State, Washington State, and I think either USC or UCLA coming up. So Florida State, Syracuse look like shit. Michigan, okay. Rutgers 4.5, 39. This line hasn't moved. Well, it went from 41 to 39. It stayed at 39. This is my free pick for today. Take Rutgers. Michigan State's coach is fired. The team, there's 15 guys out. Rutgers has played very well, except for at Michigan. I like the coach. Good defense, good running. If the weather is bad, it won't bother Rutgers. Michigan State throws a little bit more, but their defense sucks. I got Rutgers as a B team with a 14 defense, and Michigan as an under team with a 24 defense. So Michigan State's not going to score on them. The over-under is so low at 39, and I don't know what we're, weather-wise. Are we looking for 40-mile-an-hour winds? I don't see it. So I'm sitting there going, there's a little run. It won't bother Rutgers. They'll just run it down their throat. And they'll play defense. And if there is wind, it'll hurt Michigan State, who throws the ball better. So really like Rutgers here. Cincinnati, 4.5, 42.5 versus my Iowa State team. Iowa State's a 22 defense. They usually are about a 14 or a 15 defense. Cincy's pretty explosive. They're a B team with the 24. I checked the weather in Cincinnati. It's not that bad, especially for tomorrow's game. That's our free pick. Cincinnati and Seattle. And we're getting a great number because it went down to 44, 38 in the Seattle and Joe Burrow game all day. So this is also in Cincinnati. Maybe a little bit of rain, but again, I'm not seeing these lines go down too much today. So I think they went down anticipating it. But like I said, I just walked outside. It's not pouring and it's not 30-mile-an-hour winds. So, I've seen that. I videotaped when it was 30-mile-an-hour winds. I sent it to the girls, but I don't see that today. So I'm going to lay away from the under in this game. It's a real tough game to figure because Iowa State, they lost Oklahoma 60-20, right? So, James Madison 5.5 and 59.5. That line hasn't moved. Actually, it started at 57, so it's up 2 points. Georgia Southern a 20 defense, James Madison a 22 defense. Both teams are A. Normally, it's just tease the dog. I do like James Madison. It's in Virginia, so there could be rain, but who knows? Very, very tough to figure out here. Ohio State, Purdue. Ohio State 17.5. This is down from 19. We'll have to check injuries here, and 52.5. That hasn't moved. So somebody at Ohio State must be out for the line to move Ohio State, but not over under. Ohio State's tough to figure out. Their quarterback sucks. Then they go beat Notre Dame. They barely beat Indiana. They barely beat, Youngstown State, where Woody Hayes used to coach, and Bo. So I don't know. The game's at Purdue. Ohio State's a 10 defense. Purdue's an over a 28 defense. Ohio State should win this by more than 2 touchdowns normally. So we'll have to check the injury. But, yeah, I could see Ohio State. They know they have to win. They got to win out. They got Penn State next week at home, and then, of course, Michigan. Michigan's got Michigan State next week, FYI. All right. Alabama 19.5 against 19.5. And 45.5. This is down from 47, down from 48. So 45.5, 19.5, Alabama. They're playing really good. Melrose looks a lot better. Their defense looks incredible. Jefferson's going to have a hard day here. He had a hard day against A&M. He ain't going to have an easy day here. I like Bama. They've got the loss. They have to win. Look for them to run the table. North Texas 5.5, 68.5. North Texas. Wow, this is down from 7. That's strange. 68.5. There's no weather in North Texas. Temple's a W team. They give up 34 a game. North Texas is an over team. They give up 40 a game. The over is 68. Yeah. I don't know. 68's too much with Temple's offense. But Temple, I've looked at the stats lately. They've been throwing the ball like 50 times a game. But are they short passes? Are there how many touchdowns? They're still a W team. Maybe this gets over, but I'm not going to go over with Temple. And, yeah, maybe take North Texas even at home. That might be a play. Georgia, 32.5, 54.5, down from 56 against Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt's over team. We have to check Swan, the quarterback. He's listed as questionable. He's still listed as questionable. We'll have to check the injuries. The problem is at 10:30 in the morning, it's 7:30 Vegas. They're not changing things, although soon we'll relook at the line. At 7:30, the normally the sports books open at I think 6 or 6:30 on game days. Not during the week, but on Saturday, this sports book should be open, so we should be getting a live line here. So 32.5, Georgia. I mean, they give up 13. Vandy gives up 34. Kentucky gave up 19, and they put up 50 on them. They only put up 27 on Auburn, and they only put up 24 on South Carolina. But I think they're getting better. The quarterback looks good, so I think this should be I think Georgia's gonna kill them here. Normally, I'm on the under here, but not against Vanderbilt. I'm on the under when they play Auburn and when they play the good defensive teams, right? They play Alabama, it's an under, right? That's how you play Georgia. So if the other team's an under, you play it. But in Vanderbilt's case, they're just going to keep scoring, right? This will be one of these 55, 60 points, and Vandy will be lucky to score. I mean, maybe they get 7. That's it. So, it kind of is tough to play the under because you know they're going to score a lot, especially after 51 last week. And the quarterback looks good. Brock Bowers, just keeps catching touchdown passes. So I'm not going to fuck with them. I'm not going to go under with them. So I think Georgia, you got them under 28, I think is probably a good way to play it. Navy and Charlotte. Navy is 3.5, 44.5. That line hasn't moved. Charlotte's a W team. Both teams give up 28 points. Navy's just a little bit better. Yeah, I don't know. Navy probably wins it because it's harder to defend Navy than it is. Charlotte's not they're a W team. They don't score. But Navy's not exactly – they don't have that good defense. And as we saw by Colorado yesterday, we don't want to play teams with bad defenses to win. Toledo, 17.5, 48.5. This is up from 47, so there's no rain in Ball State. Ball State's in Indiana, which is very close to Notre Dame. So that's good. There's no weather there. 17.5. Ball State's the Z team. Toledo's the A team. Go Toledo. This is exactly what you're looking for, right? They give up 23. Ball State's the Z team, gives up 34. Toledo should just blow them out here. Cal and Utah. Utah's down to 9.5. It was at 13. Obviously, Rising's not playing. I don't know the charade. The over-under was 45, so it's gone down. There's no weather here in Utah. All you can do is play Utah under. You're looking at a Georgia defense with a terrible offense. Their quarterbacks, 3 of them are listed as out. That leaves one guy, and he's, I think, the freshman who doesn't look very good. I think they'll run it down Cal's throat. Cal has a very good offense from what I saw against, Oregon State or Washington State, one of them. They looked pretty good. That was Oregon State. They played like 100-point game. This was last week, I think. But you're not going to do that against Utah. That's why it's critical to know if the team has a defense. If the team has a defense, now if Cal does this to Utah, then we're betting Cal over the rest of the year. But I don't see how Cal's going to put up 20 points on Utah. UCLA got 7. And then I watched the UCLA-Washington State highlight yesterday, and UCLA, their defense is really strong. So keep an eye on them. They got like the defense Washington State had last year. So it's like a Utah defense. That's why it was 14-7. Utah couldn't do shit on UCLA either. They had like 5 or 6 sacks. They played Washington State last week. And the quarterback throws an interception just before half. They're at the 5-yard line, and the UCLA quarterback throws it. And the guy jumps in the air, catches the ball, and runs 95 yards for a touchdown at half. And UCLA still won the game by 8 points. And we had them. We had Washington State in 9. So keep that in mind. So anyway, if Cal can do to Utah, now Cal's in the other bracket. They get to play Oregon, Washington State, and Oregon State. So, look out for them. They'll all be overs. If they can score 20 on Utah, then I'll be really impressed with Cal. Otherwise, it's really Cal under or Utah under with no Rising. With Rising playing, I don't even understand why it's laying 9. I don't see how they're going to cover 9. Well, that's probably why it went down. But Utah is you can only bet the game under. You can't play Utah to win, and I don't even know if they will. They'll probably win ugly, 20-10 or something like that. Illinois, Maryland laying 13.5, 51.5. I don't think it's raining there because this line hasn't moved. It was 51, went to 51.5, 13.5. Illinois is injured. Maryland's an A team statistically. They played Ohio State pretty well last week. They only give up 17 a game, and they got, pretty good offense. Illinois is terrible. Illinois had a great defense last year. They're all injured. They're giving up 29 a game. I think Maryland I think they just blow them out here. I mean, this is like 35-10. No problem. Tennessee 354.5. Down from 4. So money's going on A&M. Bobby must have bet on A&M today. 54.5. 55. So it's not moved. It's in Tennessee. Tennessee's very emotional at home. They're both A teams. Tennessee's only given up 18. A&M's given up 20. Tennessee's quarterback Milton is not like Hooker was last year. He only got 5 or 6 touchdown passes, and they are running the ball more. They've got pretty balanced 200-yard offense, passing, and 200-yard running. I would not bet against Tennessee at home. A&M looked good, but they shot the wad against Alabama. You know, there used to be a stat when teams played Notre Dame, they couldn't get up the next week, right? And they just, oh, you played Notre Dame last week? Oh, okay, I'm betting against you. And it would be like a 90% trend. So I always look for that. And this is when I was a kid. You always look for that. How do you do after Georgia? How do you do after Alabama? You know, the superstar teams. Because you get so high for those games, it's very hard to come back to earth. So we'll see that with Oregon, Washington next week. The loser will be fired up. The winner is going to be flat. So always keep that in mind. And then you've got Michigan, Michigan State. So Michigan could look ahead. You got Ohio State, Penn State. Both those teams could be looking ahead, especially Penn State. This game's in Ohio State. They're going to have all they want. We'll see how good they really are. So in this game, I would say over 55 is the only way to play it, even though they have defenses. They both have good offenses. That A&M offense look good. The backup quarterback looks fine. So I don't see that as a problem. Yeah, Coach Prime. Yeah. The Oregon got Georgia old defensive coach. Yeah, they did. And that's what Oklahoma got Clemson's defensive coordinator. And Oklahoma's finally put in the Clemson defense, and it shows. I mean, their defense is like 10, 11 a game, although they didn't hold Texas down. But that's really when you got two strong offense. Like here, I don't see the Oregon shutting down Washington, but you can see they shut down primetime. They were 42-0 at the half, or 35-0. It was 42-0. You know, so where was primetime's offense again? You know, so they shut them down pretty good. That's what scares me a little today. That's why I like Oregon versus the over, although I do like the over also. But it's very, you know, I doubt they'll shut Washington down at home. I love Washington's coach, DeBoer. Guy from Fresno State. He made Jake Hayner. So I don't know why the pros. I would pick that guy up, Hayner, DeBoer in a minute. What a great coach that guy is. All right. So again, Tennessee A&M. I guess the only way to play it's over. Although you do have a 20 defense and an 18, but they're both A teams. A&M put up 16 on Alabama and then stopped scoring. We saw Tennessee put 50 up on Alabama, but Hooker's not there, so should be an interesting game. I'm not betting against Tennessee at home with A&M, but I think this should get into the 50s. I'm not asking for too much here. 28-27 with Tennessee at home. Yeah, I don't think that's a problem. All right, VTech. Where are you, VTech? Where are you hiding? VTech. Here we go. 1.5, 47.5. The line hasn't moved. VTech's an even team, gives up 27. Wake's an under team, gives up 21. I think Wake's a live dog here. Over 48. I don't think the weather is a problem because this started at 48.5. It's at 48. This has not moved. I don't think there's weather here in Virginia to worry about. So I like Wake as a live dog. Virginia Tech's quarterback's questionable. Wells So we'll see. See, Wells was at Marshall. He leaves Marshall. I didn't, but Marshall's an over team anyway. But I don't get those moves. You move from Marshall to Virginia Tech? Like, what are you kidding me? South Carolina, 1.5. Down from 2.5. And 50.5, 51. Florida's the B team, gives up 17. We know they're kind of weak offensively. South Carolina's an over team. Even though they played Georgia 24-20, they still score a lot. They give up 30 a game. This is a prime. You would think you'd take Florida as the dog. Florida's offense is too weak to really go over on it, but I could see they went over with Kentucky. I can see this getting. I mean, all you need is 45. South Carolina's defense is pretty weak, so Florida will run it down their throats. Yeah, probably a dog play, maybe an overplay, but I'm not a big. Florida's got so many guys questionable, injured. Penn State, UMass. Penn State 41.5. 54.5. That over has not moved. Well, it started 58, went down to 54, and that's where it stayed. I don't know. Again, the weather in Pennsylvania is, all you see on is this big, cloudy. But we've got clouds here, and we don't have rain, so you could say it's going to rain, but it ain't. Penn State, UMass. I don't know, we keep getting burned by UMass. So I like Penn State, 42, 54. Let's see. I don't like laying 42 with UMass. They've been putting up some points. I think this goes over 54. That's 48. I think Penn State gets 50 by themselves. Hold on a second. Just a second. All right. I just think Penn State can get to the 50. UMass doesn't have that. Penn State is going to run for touchdowns. But 42 is such a big number. Will they even, if they get up 45-0, are they still going to play or get ready for Ohio State? I think this should go over. Penn State's got a 21 defense. It's not really, in my mind, like a 12 or a 13. Like Utah's 11. I mean, Penn State's nowhere near that. So I like this game over, I think. Troy and the Army. Troy's laying 5.5. And 42.5 hasn't moved. This could be a rain game. But it started at 44, went down to 42. I always got to play. Army is a home dog against Troy. I got to go Army. It's just not easy, to be. I don't think Troy's a road favorite, put it that way. Their defense is a 20. Well, they're both 20s. But I don't. Army in 11.5, I think is good. Absolutely. South Florida, Florida Atlantic, the Battle of Floridas, 2.5, 61.5 for South Florida. That line went from 60 to 61, so there's no rain there. South Florida is an over team. They score and they have no defense. Florida Atlantic has lost their quarterback, so they are a very weak offensive team. So you almost like South Florida to win, although they're so bad. But then you can't go over because the Florida Atlantic doesn't have their quarterback. So it's a real, maybe you take South Florida in 3.5, but we got better games on the board. All right. Bowling Green, Buffalo 3.5, 43.5, 44. Buffalo's an over team. Bowling Green's pretty much an over team after the way they beat Georgia Tech 34-27. They can put up 34 on Georgia Tech. Miami can't. Yeah, okay. Good quarterback and Schneider for Buffalo. Again, they give up 34. Bowling Green gives up 29, and the over/under in this game's 44. Is this a rain game? Again, I'm not seeing it go down today. I just see where it went down the other day. So I like the game over, even at 44. I mean, unless it's this 20-mile-an-hour wind that I'm not seeing and this huge rain. If it ain't, this is a easy over. Both defenses give up over 30 points a game. I mean, that's why I took Miami last week. They played a 65-point game with Georgia Tech. How the hell they play a 60-point game with Georgia Tech? Miami gets 3 at half. I mean, that whole game smells. How does Miami's coach come out today? Like, he's got to be like so freaking embarrassed. I don't know how the team would play for him. If I was Van Dyke, I would say, look, when you learn how to coach, I'll play. Until then, I don't know anything. I'd say about that. Daria went to the dentist. She's okay. She's getting implants. So I just wanted to see how she's doing. So definitely like this Buffalo over. Unless somebody knows something in Buffalo where it's just a tornado there. I know they're on the lake. I know Niagara Falls. I go to Niagara Falls. Buffalo's right there. But I don't know. I think it's a little north of where all the storms are. I think they're more New York City. Like, I'm more worried about the Jets game than Buffalo, even the Bills tomorrow. CMU 9.5, 43.5. Wow, this game's down from 12. Holy shit, 43.5. So the line went down, but the total didn't. It's not raining here, so I'm not worried about the rain. This is a 3:30 game. Central's an E team. They give up 34 a game. Akron's a Z team, gives up 30. Central's the one that lost to Notre Dame 41-17, so they didn't look that bad against Notre Dame, scoring 17. I don't know why this line went down. Let's quickly see if we can find an injury to them. No injuries. Akron's quarterback's out. That doesn't help us. So we'll go into the injuries in a minute. Okay, so I don't know why the line went down. It ain't because of the weather. I mean, you would think the total went down. They're a pretty good scoring team. They got a good coach, CMU, but their defense sucks. So it should be over. But again, you don't know about the weather. So this is what's really fucking us up this weekend. We got the games, but we got to be careful. All right. Western and Miami of Ohio, Western Michigan. Where are we at? Eastern. Western. All right. So Miami's laying 8.5. They're the A team. 45.5. So the total went from 44 to 45.5. They're west of me, so I don't know what that means, if the storm's coming or it's already gone through. Miami's the A team. They only give up 18. Western is more the over team, gives up 37. In a normal weather, I would go over 45, but you wouldn't get 45. I think it started at 53. So this has gone down 8 points. I got to stay away from it. Since Western's an over team and no defense, and Miami's an A team, I'm not sure this is going to be an under unless we're getting the big wins, which I don't see here, but we'll see. So that I'm going to lay away from. Oregon, Washington. Washington is now 3.5. Give me more points. 66.5, 67. That hasn't moved. We like Oregon. We like the over. We being me and my gold. I just, Oregon gives up 11. Washington gives up 18. Really, I just look at the Oregon-Colorado game going 42-0. So Oregon's got the better defense and the better running, and that's how you got to play this game. You can't get locked into Washington's at home and they're going to win. This is a revenge game. Washington won at Oregon last year. So keep all that in mind, but I'm not betting this because of the revenge. I'm just betting it because I think Oregon's got the better defense and the better running. It's a tie at quarterback. It's a tie at coach. So that's all you can do is tease the dog. I mean, this makes sense. BYU, TCU 4.5. If I can find them, TCU. Let me check my email real quickly. Since the site's down, I've got to see. I had one buyer today. I had to send him the picks. Okay, nothing else. So if you buy, I got to email you the picks. So not a problem. So it's been working out, but no excuse on the site. Jesus, pisses me off. So I asked my IT guy if he had another server company he could send me, because I think I need him. I'm not sure if I need him to put our code up on the server or just type in the website and then they grab it and off they go. So I don't know the technical part of it. TCU 4.5. Where are they? Down from 5.5. Their quarterback's out. And 52.5. So you've got TCU's lost their quarterback. They're both B teams. They both give up 22 a game, and the over/under is 53, which normally I'd go over, but without the quarterback, I don't see how you can play this. Kansas 54.5, down from 55.5 against Oak State. Now Oak State, Bowman from Texas Tech is now quarterbacking. They beat Kansas State 29-21, which was a 50. I don't like Kansas on the road as a favorite. If they were a dog, I would be all over them, but they're favored. They give up 26 a game. Oak State gives up 23. Kansas is an over. We know they're explosive. Their running back last week ran for 280 yards. I like the over in this game. I don't think it's a weather game. Oklahoma. 54.5. I'm not sure why it's going down. You got a 26 defense and a 23 defense, and you got a over team with Kansas who puts up 40 points a game. So I like this game over. Absolutely. Ohio, Northern Illinois. Ohio 5.5, 44.5. The number hasn't changed to 44.5. It started at 47. Northern Illinois should be a little bit weather. And Ohio's the under team that played Iowa State 10-7. So they give up 11 points a game. They got a real defense here. Northern Illinois is an E team that gives up 24. This game, I like under weather or not. I'm hoping it's weather, but if it's not, I still like the game under. Ohio, that's why I like the Iowa State-Ohio game, because when I looked and I saw Ohio with a very good defense, I sat there and said, oh, okay, well, if they got a good defense, we know Iowa State does, and it was a 10-7 game. So basically, Northern Illinois is giving up 24, but I'm not sure about the rain, but I like it anyway. Iowa, Wisconsin. Wisconsin 9.5, 34.5. As soon as I find them. Oh, okay. This went to 35.5 this morning or last night. Now it's 34.5 again. Iowa's quarterback's out. Iowa's an under team, even with McNamara. They give up 16. Wisconsin's an 8 team, gives up 18. However, when they played Washington State, it was a 60-point game. Mordecai's good. Not getting a lot of touchdowns because when they get close, the running back's scoring them all. However, there's so many injuries on this. I mean, they have 20 guys on their injured list. Some are questionable, some are out, but they've been playing fine. And again, the key is Mordecai and the defense, but they're banged up, but so is Iowa. I think this is a Wisconsin play, 9.5. Give 3.5. Iowa is not as good on the road. Penn State 31-0. Wisconsin needs the game, and they're both, 16 and an 18 defense. I would go under, but not at 34.5. This started at 40.5. I would have went under 40.5. This is why you bet on Sunday night or Monday this game, right? You see, it's going to go down, but if you can grab it at 40, you've saved a whole touchdown. Now you're 34.5. You tease it back to 40. But I think in this case, Wisconsin lays the 3.5 and wins. Vegas and Nevada. Vegas 7.5, 52.5, down from 53.5. Vegas is an over team. Nevada is I'm not sure there's either, probably more a W because they played SC 63-7, and it's kind of skewed them the whole year. They played Kansas well. They played somebody else well. So I keep thinking, I'll bet against Nevada. They're the Z team, but I don't think they are, and they keep playing pretty well. I like the game over. Vegas is an over team, gives up 27. Nevada is let's call them a W team, gives up 38. This rivalry, two Vegas teams, basically. This should get over. I'm shocked it's coming down to 52.5 unless there's weather in Reno. Who knows? San Jose State 6.5, 55.5 to New Mexico. Both are overs. San Jose State gives up 34. New Mexico gives up 31. We love Corbiro, San Jose State's quarterback. This is the most obvious over on the board, 55 with these two offenses and these two defenses. So you got beautiful two over teams, Mountain West, 55. What a joke. This should probably be 67 or 68. Louisville and Pitt. Louisville will be flat after Notre Dame last week. 7.5, 44.5. That number hasn't moved. It started at 48, so I don't know if they're fucking around with the weather and saying, well, this is because they changed it like Monday or Tuesday. They just went in and took 4 points blindly from anybody in the path. So if it ain't raining in Pittsburgh, then you got a bargain here. But Pitt's terrible. Pitt gives up. Well, Pitt's giving up 26. Louisville's the 8 team, putting up 30 on Notre Dame. Well, Ohio State couldn't do that. They got an 18 defense. Pitt's even with a 26 defense. But I'll tell you, Pitt's just lousy. They lost to Cincinnati. They lost to West Virginia. Louisville's undefeated, beat Notre Dame. They must win because they're undefeated. They got Florida State to play, right? And I think Clemson. Well, I don't know if they play all the teams or not, but I know they're in the ACC. So we will. I know they got to play Clemson or Florida, so they can't afford to lose, but they will be flat after the Notre Dame win. However, they'll also be confident that, hey, we beat Notre Dame. So it runs both ways. But at Pitt, if the weather's bad, Pitt could give them a game here. Marshall, Georgia State. Georgia State, 1.5, 54. Georgia State's a B team. Marshall's an over team. Marshall gives up 26. Georgia State, 24. Air Force, 11.5 and 42.5 to Wyoming. Air Force, 12 defense. Fuck, Wyoming's a 24. They beat Texas Tech. They beat somebody, but they're good at home. This is it, Air Force. Air Force is the A team, and you got a 12 defense, and you got an offense that gets 360 yards a game running. Yeah. Okay. Good luck, Wyoming. Washington State, 7.5, 57.5 to Arizona. Washington State's over team gives up 25. Arizona's a B team, gives up 23. Arizona's quarterback's out. The backup has been playing okay. They took USC. Now think about it, 28-28 at the end of the game. USC only got 28 points. Yeah, they went to triple overtime, but let's just look at the game, 28-28. So on one hand, it's a 56. On the other hand, it's a, they did score on USC. Well, anybody does. I like Washington State at home. They play much better. They're coming off the loss to UCLA. As we know, they beat Oregon State and Wisconsin at home. Our buddy who thought Ward was the best quarterback in the country put 3 interceptions up last week against UCLA, and they lost. So they sacked him 5 or 6 times last week. UCLA, strong defense. So here I probably I don't know what to say here. I'm all over the place. I like Washington State at home. They got a 25 defense. Arizona's a 23 and held SC to 28. So I almost think it's an under game at 57, under 63. Maybe you can trust Washington State here for Arizona's played that game in the desert. There's a big edge in the desert than at Washington. So I think Washington State wins close. Could be low scoring. Texas State and Lou Monroe. Let's see. Texas State, 17, 63.5. That line hasn't moved. Lou Monroe's a Z team. They give up 34 a game, and Texas State's the one that beat Baylor. And I keep saying it so you can go, oh, they beat Baylor. And Texas State's the over team. They give up 30, over under 63. Now, you would play it over if Lou Monroe was an over team, but they're not. They're a Z team. So probably Texas State blows them out. But again, they got a 30 defense. They could pull a Colorado and be ahead, and then it's a close game. So hard to say. It's a lot of points to give, but I don't know. There's better games, I think. Like this one, LSU 10.5, 60.5. Auburn's a B team. They held Georgia to 27, which now looks like a real good thing. They give up 18 a game. LSU, they have no defense this year. They're an over team. They give up 32 points a game. LSU, I can't believe that. They've always had a good defense. 10.5. We know how Bobby wants LSU in the game. It's hard to bet LSU with this bad defense, although Auburn's offense is kind of sucky, but they have a good defense. I think this is close. I almost think Auburn is 16.5. Might hold up, but I hate to play that because I don't think Auburn can win. So I don't like, maybe it'll be close. Maybe they'll bet. No, you don't bet that. If you don't think Auburn can win, you don't take Auburn. Over under is 60. I think the game ends over because I think LSU can score, and Auburn will score on this team. So I think you go over here. I think that's the only way to play this. Texas Tech 1.5. And 58.5 to K-State. This went up from 56. I like the over here. Kansas State's an A team, lost to Oak State 29-21. They played a 50. Texas Tech is a B team with the 23 defense. So the defense, the over-under is only 58 here. I think this is definitely an over with Texas Tech at home. Kentucky 2.5, 50.5 to Missouri. That line hasn't moved. Cook, Missouri's quarterback, I think he's either out or questionable. So we have to check his status. And this is a 7:30 game. So you can see. So if Cook's playing, I kind of like Missouri. If he's out, then I like Kentucky. They're only laying 2.5, 50.5. Kentucky with the 21 defense, Missouri with the 25. I would think you would have points in this game. I think it goes over. So if Cook plays the Missouri quarterback, then this is an overplay. Miami, North Carolina. What the fuck do you do with Miami? 2.5, 56.5. Line hasn't moved. Worst coach in the history of coaching on Miami's team. Between the head coach, the OC, and the DC, they should all have resigned. How they're still coaching and how Van Dyke can take the guy seriously is I would have walked out if I was Van Dyke. Said, well, when you get an offensive coordinator, give me a call. Not some idiot who doesn't take a knee at the end of the game. He doesn't understand. Well, how can he be an OC? So, yes. Now, I lost on the over in the game. Pissed about losing. I didn't have a money line bet on it, but it's just retarded. It's like the Keynesians, right? They don't know what printing money is inflation and it ruins the money supply. So I get aggravated with those idiots too. I don't think there's weather. This has gone from 57 to 56. It looks like North Carolina is going to get hit, but I don't think it's going to come down that far. So in a normal game, I would take Miami in 9. They got a good defense. They got Van Dyke. May doesn't look very good this year. Their defense is 14. North Carolina's is 19. They really held a good Georgia Tech offense to 17 last week. If he takes the knee, they win 20-17. So I think Miami's the play with Van Dyke and the better defense and the running. But that's a new variable to put in the algorithm. Coach fucks up, doesn't take a knee. Where's that in the algorithm? USC, Notre Dame, Notre Dame, 2.5, 60.5. Hasn't moved, so I'm not too worried about rain. It moved from 66 to 60. See, that's the problem. They did it so early, but you don't know if it's still raining. Now, the Purdue game, which is pretty close, they're both in Indiana, hasn't moved either. Well, it moved a little, and then, it's fine. So the only way I can play this game is over. I mean, I don't see the pouring rain. It's at 7:30 on NBC. So, maybe at 3 or 4 o'clock, look at it, see what's going on. I've already played it with Kansas City. I had Kansas City -4, and I actually won a Thursday night game. I was so excited. And I should have won yesterday's game, but Colorado couldn't hold the 29-point lead. So I already got this game played. I did go over on it. I cannot play 8.5 in SC. Hartman, they got the running. They got a 16 defense, and USC's is a 27. I just don't see taking USC in the points. But as dangerous as USC is, and Hartman should light it up finally against this defense, and they're off of a loss, so I think this goes way over. This should be in the 70s, but again, even with the weather, if it's just raining, it's still in the 70s, unless there's a 30-mile-an-hour wind, and I didn't see. And I'm not seeing right now, when I'm a half hour from Ann Arbor, I don't see that being a problem. Duke, NC State, Duke laying the 3 and 42.5. This number has gone down from 44. Riley Leonard's hurt, questionable, probably not playing. Again, this is a night game. I like Duke. I think Duke's the better team. They got an 11 defense. That's how good Duke is. You don't realize, right? They got an 11 defense, and they play Clemson, and they play Notre Dame, and they got an 11 defense. They're not playing high school teams with an 11 defense. They got an 11 defense playing those two. NC State's a B, gives up 24. They run a lot, Duke, and they play this killer defense. So, yeah, this should be an under, so I'm not surprised that went down. But I wish if Riley Leonard plays, it's a Duke play for sure. If he doesn't play, it's probably an under. But I still think I'll play Duke because the defense is just so strong. And Riley Leonard's it's not like he's a strong passer. He's a little passer. He runs a lot. So This is the problem. But he got hurt passing the ball, of course. Somebody rolled his ankle while pass rushing. Oregon State, UCLA. Oregon State 3.5, 54.5. UCLA is a 12. Oregon State's a 20. That's all I need to say. UTSA 9.5. Where the hell are they? Okay. UTSA 9.5, 67.5. Over versus over. UAB lights it up, gives up 36 a game. UTSA lights it up, gives up 30. Frank Harris came back, had a real big game. It's a high over at 67, but still the way these two teams, this should be an 80-point game. This is definitely an over game. Colorado State, Boise State. Boise 8.5, 60, both overs. Boise gives up 30. Colorado State gives up 36. The only difference is this is only a 60, where the UTSA game is a 67. So I'm already got a touchdown better. So again, another over game. San Diego State, Hawaii. San Diego State 5.5, 52.5. Really hasn't changed. San Diego State's a Z team, but they played UCLA and I think Oregon State or somebody, and they just look bad. Their defense is usually much better at 31. Hawaii, we know they suck, but they can score. They give up 35. Over under on the game's 52.5. I think this is an over. I don't really – well, it's hard because San Diego State normally has a good defense. This is probably the one team that can hold Hawaii down, but it's in Hawaii, and San Diego State's defense has sucked. But I don't know about this one. I wouldn't go over. Normally over on these bad defenses, but I don't know. San Diego State should score on them. And the question will be, how good is their defense? Hawaii obviously should score on them in a terrible defense. This should probably be a high-scoring game. Even though it's a Z and a W, well, we know Hawaii is a good scoring team. San Diego State should score more against this defense. So the real question is, does Hawaii put up their 28 points against this defense, which is a 31, which is not the normal San Diego State defense. James, TFX, Iowa Whiskey, T's over 28 or under 40? Neither. You can't go over. Iowa doesn't have a quarterback. Hard to go under 40. I like Wisconsin in the game. They're at home. They got the running. They got Mordecai. The defenses are even, but Iowa doesn't have a quarterback, so I would take Wisconsin. So that is it. Let's check a few injuries if we can find them. All right, no more emails. I got 3 locks going, by the way. Just by the way, even though you can't get on the site, email me. My email's on Thursdays, right in the header. What do we got? 11:20. We're okay. So I got 3 locks going. I got a college. I don't know. Who's the college lock with? That one. That's a college pro. I got a pro lock. I got a college pro lock. And I got one other lock that I can't find. Where is it? Who did I lock them with? Oh, yeah. Okay. I got a college lock, I got a college pro lock, and I got a pro lock. So I got 6 teams going in locks. And I was this close. I did not lock Oregon. Again, because I like them, but it's more risk. So how do you bet a game? Well, I like Oregon, but there's risk. Washington's explosive at home. So I think that it's like Texas, Oklahoma. I didn't lock Oklahoma, but I liked Oklahoma was also getting 12.5 and a huge revenge game. So I played them twice, but I didn't lock them. The lock comes like Wisconsin, Iowa almost, where Iowa doesn't have their quarterback. It's in Wisconsin. That could be a lock. If the spread was 7, it would be a lock at 1. At 9.5, I hate to lay 3.5, but I still think that Wisconsin wins the game. But it's clearly you can't go over because Iowa played at Penn State 31-0. What are you going to do with that? Penn State's got a much better offense. The key's going to be the pick sixes and the strip sacks. With McNamara out, Wisconsin's going to pressure the quarterback. He can fumble. They could pick it up for a couple of scoop and scores or pick sixes. And you could get a 45-point game and the offense doesn't do anything. They're just defensive touchdowns or stuff. That's what gets you on the under. That's what got us on Dallas Frisco last week when our boy Prescott threw three interceptions to kill it, motherfucker. All right. So let's quickly look. I looked at this morning, but again, now it's 11:30. So let's see if we got anything new. I'll be quick. Delora, Arizona quarterback, still questionable. If you see the line move on it, where's the line? Where's Arizona? They're playing Washington State. Yeah, so they're 7.5. So if all of a sudden the line goes to 9, he's out. Or it might already be factored in the 7.5. But, if he plays me, but I like it under the Arizona game. So if he's out, the under is probably a better play. Arizona State's got their guys. Arkansas. Holy shit, Arkansas. All of a sudden, a lot of questionables. Everybody realizes they're playing Alabama. They got 3 DBs. 2 are questionable. 1's probable. Probably not the team you want to have your DBs out for is Alabama, although Milrose is more of a runner. Auburn, Ball State, Baylor, Boise. I'm just looking for like quarterback injuries. Connecticut, Duke, Riley Leonard questionable with the leg. Spreads at 3. So if all of a sudden this goes to 4, he's playing. I think the 3 is he's not playing. Great defense. Without him, I think it's an under. This is a night game, so we can bet this at, this is a 7 o'clock, 7:30 game. And then you got UCLA under, and you got Notre Dame, USC. So you got 3 games at night. I've already bet them, but I didn't bet the Duke one yet. Duke, I got to wait. Without Riley Leonard, it's probably an under, but I do like Duke anyway, so we'll see. Florida, half the team's out. Florida out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 Florida guys are out for the year. Now, some of them have been since August, but most recently, October 11th, O-lineman, wide receiver, October 11th, tight end, October 11th, and then October 7th, a safety, a wide receiver, on September 30th, a tight end, September 30th, and two others in August. So this is why it's hard to bet Florida. Now, are these guys starters or backups? We don't know, but we know they're listed and they're out. Hey, Prophet. You had Stanford as part of a 3-teamer last night. Went to bed. Yeah, I went to bed 29-0 too. Only they'd come all the way back. What the hell happened? Well, Prime doesn't. You would have thought Prime was a cornerback and knew defense, but apparently Prime doesn't know how to coach defense. I don't know. You got away with one there because I had Colorado because Stanford sucks, but They got 21 like in the fourth quarter, Stanford. So yeah, no defense. So that's a good sign, Prophet. You got a W there. Florida Atlantic, we know Thompson's out. Florida State, nothing. Fresno State, Mikey Keene's day to day, but I think they already played and they already won. Fresno State, yeah, they won 37-32 over Utah State. See, Utah State's an over team, and Fresno State's an A team with an 18 defense, and it still went 37-32, and the over-under was 55. That's what I mean about these over teams. Even though Fresno State had an 18 defense, they scored 32 on them. So I don't know who quarterbacked, unless Mikey Keene played. I'll have to look at the box score, but this was yesterday, 37-32 Fresno. But that's why I like the Utah States over those type of teams. You know, if you can play a 69 with Fresno State, who's got an 18 defense, that's what tends to happen. You tend to get if you got an over team and an A or a B, it goes over because the A team eats them up, and the over team is good. They can score points, but they can't stop you. Georgia, nothing new. Running backs, a doubtful ankle. They got so many running backs. And then a linebacker out, an O lineman, and a D lineman out. Okay, so Georgia should be okay. Houston, the Illini. See, here's the Illini's injuries. Running back, doubtful. Running back out for the season. DB out for the season. DB out for the season. Linebacker out for the season. Another running. So they got 3 linebackers. No, they got 1 linebacker and 2 DBs out for the season. And that's probably why they went from a 12 defense to a 29 defense. So usually what happens is the injuries or the quarter, like Cam Rising. You can't look at Utah the same with him and without him. They don't score. Indiana, they're a mess. A lot of questionables for Michigan. So they won't show up. 2 receivers, a running back, so be careful. Iowa, we know they got big problems. See, Iowa's problems is they got 2 wide receivers out. Now McNamara is out. Another wide receiver is doubtful, taking a personal day. So you've got 3 wide receivers. If they're starters or not, the Ohio State, we know Marvin Harrison Jr. Otherwise, we don't know. Iowa State's fine. James Madison's fine. Kansas, the quarterback's doubtful. Daniels, but we don't care. We prefer Bean anyway. And Daniels throws too many interceptions for me. Bean's fine, so they're lucky because Bean's really a starter. This Daniels got hurt last year. Bean took over, fine. Same thing this year. So this Daniels is injury prone. K-State, they're okay. Kentucky, Liberty played. LSU, wide receiver doubtful. The other one with the hamstrings probable. And then they got 4 guys out, a cornerback, 2 cornerbacks, and a running back. So again, they got 2 cornerbacks and a safety out. And you wonder why they give up 35 a game. Well, yeah, you lose 3/4 of your secondary, you're probably not going to be as strong. So you got to note that. Louisville, nothing. Marshall, nothing. Maryland. Oh, Maryland's linebacker out, running back out, wide receiver out, linebacker out, O-lineman out, wide receiver out. They're loaded with injuries there. And again, we don't know, was Gooden the linebacker an All-American, or did he even hit the field? This is the problem. But he did. This is as of October 2nd, so he must be a player. I mean, otherwise, how did he get hurt, or why is he out? UMass, Memphis, Miami. How come the coach isn't listed here? Is too stupid to be coaching. Michigan, 4 questionables of nobodies, and then wide receiver out, linebacker out, wide receiver out. So Michigan, I don't think that matters too much. Michigan State, the whole team's questionable. And then you got outs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 players out. That's why we like Rutgers today. You know, when you lose your 2 offensive linemen, 2 linebackers, 3 linebackers, 2 DBs, and a defensive lineman, you can't just lose 11 guys. I don't know if they're starters or not, but you just can't lose 11 guys. Minnesota. Questionables. They've got 5 outs, linebackers and linemen. Old Mississippi, they're not playing. Mississippi State's not playing. Missouri, B. Cook. He's probable. So we talked about Missouri. They're playing Kentucky, and now the quarterback Cook is really good, is probable. Now we like the game over. So this turns into an over game at 50. Shouldn't be weather here, right? This should be at Kentucky. They gave up 100 points to Georgia. Missouri's going to follow suit. Look for this game to be high scoring. Good news. Go Navy. 2 quarterbacks out. How could a Navy quarterback be out for academics? That just doesn't make sense. But not their main quarterback's not out. 2 other guys are. And they have a ton of quarterbacks because they run them so much. NC State, good. Nebraska doesn't play. Nevada, nothing. New Mexico, nothing. Notre Dame. Tight end out. Kicker out. Defensive lineman out. Tight end out. Wide receiver out. So I got 2 tight ends out. And a safety's questionable for tonight. He'll be playing. That's probably the key injury, is the safety with Caleb Williams. Ohio quarterback's out, but he's not. It's not Rourke. It's Harris. Ohio State questionables. Running back out. 2 wide receivers out. 4 wide receivers out. But they're not. Harrison Jr. or the other guys. So these are 4 other receivers out. Oklahoma's off. Oak State, nothing. Oregon, nothing. They got a running back who's been out since October 4th, who I don't think's their main weapon, and a wide receiver out. They only got 2, and the kicker's out. Okay. Oregon State, nothing real. Penn State, geez, the whole team's questionable. Then you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 outs. Running back, quarterback who's a backup, a wide receiver, a defensive tackle, and a defensive end, and a safety. So, these teams get injuries. You can't ignore the injuries like, it doesn't matter. It's the team. I mean, Pitt's fine. Big Purdue, a lot of questionables. Rice, Rutgers, 2 receivers out. An O lineman's questionable, and a D lineman's question probably play. Are these receivers any good? I mean, we saw Ohio State with 4 receivers out, but they're not the stars. So I don't care. Rutgers runs the ball down your throat in defense, and those guys look like they're playing. San Diego State, nothing. San Jose State. A tight end and a wide receiver are out. Tight end's questionable. That's it. Not a lot. Let's see. USC, wide receiver Branch questionable. He'll be playing. Defensive lineman questionable. He'll be playing. Cornerback questionable. He'll be playing. So the only guy out's a wide receiver, Brown. He's out with an undisclosed. Hate those undisclosed. So USC is extremely healthy. What are they going to do? SMU, Southern Miss, Stanford played last night. Syracuse, Temple. Temple, linebacker out. Not a lot. A linebacker and a wide receiver. Tennessee, we've got them against Texas A&M. Running back, Bishop's out. Defensive backs out. Wide receiver out. 2 linebackers out. the key is that Milton's okay, and I don't know. The Stort and the wide receivers probable. The other McCoy's out for the season, so we don't know enough of their players. Texas says A&M, Wegman, the quarterback's out. We know he's out. The other guys, the backup is playing. We saw him against Alabama. A DB and a TE are out. They've been out for a while, so A&M's very healthy besides their quarterback. TCU, Morris, their quarterback's out till mid-November with the knee. Okay. How good's their backup? We'll find out. Texas State, pretty healthy. Texas Tech. Tyler Shaw, their quarterback, is out, but he's been out since September 25th, so that's nothing new. UTSA, couple of injuries, but not Frank Harris, so we're okay with that. Troy, running back and a safety out, but they've been out since early September. Tulane looks good. Tulsa looks good. UAB looks good. UCLA looks good. Lou Lafayette, Woolridge, their starting quarterback's out. He's been out since September. UL Monroe, their quarterback, Herring's out, but he's not – I don't know who he is. He's not their starter. Vegas, Brumfeld, their quarterback's questionable today. He's been out. Now he's coming back. Utah, do we have a Rising? Out indefinitely with the knee, so nothing changed on Utah as far as that. See, now in Utah, B. Rose, quarterback, out. Rising out, and Barnes, the quarterback. Now, I've heard of Barnes. We obviously heard of Rising. They're both out, so now it's the freshman, but he doesn't have his backup, Barnes. So this is going to be interesting for Utah. They're really getting fucked by this LA doctor, man. You know, I'm worried because my website's down there, and I imagine how pissed he is because he can't play Rising, but he's practicing and he looks fine. Utah State quarterback, but not their starter. Vandy, Swan, questionable with an elbow. He's still questionable. Probably the fact they're playing Georgia. He probably will. Yeah, you know, my elbow's bothering me. I can't play. It's Georgia. Virginia, VTech. Wells, their quarterback's questionable with an ankle. Wake, pretty healthy. Washington. Let's see. Defensive lineman out. Defensive end out. O-lineman out. Running back out. Wide receiver out. But Penix is not listed. So that's it. So they're fairly healthy. These guys, 3 of them are August, so that doesn't matter. One was October 2nd, the DL. I don't know if that matters. And then they got a safety questionable. He'll play, and a wide receiver will play. Wash State, tight end with a hamstring. Well, he's out. Wide receiver questionable. Defensive tackle out. 2 defensive ends, but not their studs, are out. Western Michigan, Bouquet, the quarterback's questionable with an undisclosed. Wisconsin, the whole team's out. Here's how many guys in Wisconsin are out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 outs on Wisconsin. 4 receivers, and 1 receiver's questionable. No wonder Mordecai can't play. He's got all of the receivers are injured. And Wyoming, wide receiver with the finger, and running backs questionable. So that's what you have. Let's go back to the line now that we've. So really the only key is that Missouri's quarterback's playing, which can help the over there. Let's quickly look at the noon games. It's 11:40. Eastern 740.5. Florida State 18.5, 53.5. Michigan down to 32.5, 45.5. I wonder why. Where's Michigan? 33-45. So it went up to 45.5. So yeah, the weather is not a factor here. And 32.5. I don't know. So what are the Sharps betting on Indiana at 33? Yeah, good luck there. Rutgers 45-39, and that hasn't changed. So That's a noon game. Iowa State, Cincinnati. Cincinnati 4.5, 42.5. Georgia Southern, James Madison, 5.5, 59.5. Ohio State, Purdue, 17.5, 52.5. All these noon games. Alabama, 19.5, 45.5. North Texas, 7.5, 66.5. Georgia, 32.5, 54.5. Those are your noon games. Jesus Christ. So, as you can see, it doesn't look like the weather's a big factor here. So Michigan and Eastern Michigan are right next to each other. Let me go check again. I don't even see it raining out. I mean, it's a drizzle outside. Not a hard rain. It's a drizzle and a little bit of winds coming up. I can see some of the trees moving, so it's probably 10 mile an hour wind, 15. Again, at Ann Arbor, you're not going to feel it because you walk in on the street, right? Street level. You walk down like 60, 70 rows, and then the fields, at the bottom. So I'm not sure the wind's really going to affect Michigan. It might affect Eastern Michigan. That's what we look at. So again, we're waiting on Riley Leonard for Duke. USC, I think, should be okay. Notre Dame. I'm not seeing that go down to 59, so I don't know. I mean, it went from 66 to 60 Monday, and then that's it. So if it's a pouring, it's not going to go down. So as long as we see Notre Dame SC at 60, I feel okay there. The Duke, Riley Leonard. And we got all these noon games. Jesus Christ. Alabama, Georgia, Michigan, Rutgers. Is at noon. And then we got what? I don't think Kentucky is. So a lot of noon games. And then so we got those night games. Notre Dame SC, NC State, Duke, UCLA, Oregon State, Boise, Colorado State, Arizona, Washington State. So there's a lot there. This has been my problem in college. There's so many games. I picked so many winners, but then the teaser, I got the one loser with I got two losers. Boom, it kills two teasers. So like I said, I got 3 locks today. 2 and then one lock. So I got 2 college locks. The third college lock is with the pro, and then I got a pro lock tomorrow. Pros I really feel comfortable with. I understand it. It's like understanding that New England is now a 26 defense. So wait a minute, we think New England's got this great defense with Belichick, and then you see, oh, wait a minute, it's a 26. It's not that good. So, but that's what it tells you, right? That's why you do it. Like if we look at like Indy, Jacksonville, Indy's given up 23, Jacksonville's given up 20, but Indy's scoring. Carolina's giving up 29. We always thought, well, they have a pretty good defense and no offense, but now they have no offense and no defense. And here's Miami putting up 50 points a game and giving up 27. New England gives up 26. Tampa's given up 17. I mean, go figure. The Rams look better, giving up 22, and Cooper Kupp's back, and Stafford's back, and Aaron Donald's back. And the Jets and Philly both give up 21, and the Giants are giving up 31, which you kind of think the Giants, if I didn't tell you that, you might think the Giants have a good defense, right? And now you realize that their defense sucks. Also, Daniel Jones is out. I don't know who's the Giants' backup quarterback, but Jones is out. Richardson's out. And Watson's out. Walker's playing. So we got 3 key quarterbacks out. Now, in Indy, we like Minshew. We feel much better with Minshew. For Cleveland, with P.J. Walker going against Frisco, yeah, good luck there. And then I don't know who the Giants' backup is. We'll see that. Hey, Luke, how are you? Let's see if I got a website. So I'm asking around for a new server. Look at this. This is such bullshit. This has been out since Wednesday morning, and it's just reset the server or do something, or they're doing maintenance. It's such bullshit. I mean, I'm paying for that service. I'm not paying for it to be so I can't get to my site, especially now when people need it and they need the picks. So I've been emailing the picks, but let's say I add Duke later today. Well, I got to then send out emails that I've now taken. I've now taken this pick. Anyway. Okay, Prophet. I got to send an email to a customer. All right. So I get an email from James, and he says, I'm confused. I didn't hear your picks. And I'm like, well, I do 3 hours. I try to go in order, but I don't know what the confusion is. I basically go through every game. I don't pick every game, but I go through every game in the fact of here's the spread. They're an A team or a Z team or whatever. I don't know what he wants. Yeah, my server's still down. I just showed you. It was up this morning. I said, good, I got it. And I think it's a traffic issue on iPower or something, but they're fucked up. They need to reset something and do it. But I can't pay for a server and then not be able to use my site for a week. So I'm asking my IT guy about a new place, or I'm about to just Google servers and I'll have to go to the Russian server because I can count on them to work. Anyway, yeah, I mean, we're going through the college. So if you got a question, ask. If you got T-ball rained out today in Pittsburgh. Yeah, well, okay. So is the Panther game going to get like 50-mile-an-hour winds, or is it just rain? As I just showed you, I walked out my door. I'm half hour from Ann Arbor and the Eastern Michigan campus. They're right next to each other. And it's not really raining here. It has rained. It's wet out, and it's starting to get a little windy, but I don't know how much. So anyway, I'll be looking for a new server. Unfortunately, my guy used to be a My guy used to run my site, had it on his server. Yeah, that's what I'm figuring. But Penn State's got Ohio State next week, so they might be that. How about the Phillies at the Jets tomorrow? I don't know. I'll have to see if it's the rain. If the rain's there, I'm taking it under. But we'll see. I don't know what to do. I did look at the Cincinnati game for tomorrow, and it's supposed to be clear and not like 10-mile-an-hour winds, which would be nothing for Burrow and Smith. So that one I felt good about giving. So the free game is Rutgers, which you got 7 minutes to bet it, but I've given it out the last few days, and the Seattle Cincinnati over. Those are your 2 free plays. Two big games: Oregon, Washington, Notre Dame, SC. Probably both should get over unless Notre Dame gets a big rainstorm and a big windstorm, because that's all SC does is throw the ball. So they're going to throw it unless it's a tornado. Notre Dame can run the ball, and they'll probably try to run the ball because of the stopping Caleb Williams. But it should be an interesting game. I think Notre Dame wins because USC's defense sucks. As bad as Colorado. How could Colorado lose to Stanford after a 29-0 lead? This is what makes betting difficult. You got a 29-0 lead. You'd have bet your house that they're going to win the game. So let's say you money line the second half. You got a 29-0 lead and you lose. That's as bad as Miami losing. Okay, I'll stop with the Miami shit, but that's frustrating. What else? So we got 5 minutes to game time. Any other football questions before we jump to economics and gold? So again, I'll just shop for a new server. And let's see. So I was watching this video yesterday.
All right. A lot of patients ask us, why are we able to put in teeth the next day when wouldn't that money, and the real money, it'll take you way less.
All right. This motherfucker said, oh, it's the Titanic and I got to get to the gold boat. So if you want to steal from me, at least acknowledge me. He said that, and I was pissed off. So I show you. Please stop stealing my thoughts. Titanic and Gold Boat are mine, Professor. He fucking says that. He says, and Bill Holder is he's a stockbroker. You know, this is the problem. You listen to salesmen He doesn't know what he's talking about. So these guys are watching my videos because I'm starting to hear what I say on their things, but they don't want to give credit. They don't want to come here and say, oh, yeah, interesting, or email me with, hey, let's talk. They just steal. This is what a salesman does, and they're just losers. That's why you shouldn't listen to them, because he doesn't have any original ideas. When he said that, I couldn't fucking believe it. Basically, and then he says everything I say. So he says, oh, yeah, well, all the other currencies are bad. Yeah, where have we heard that one before? Anyway, just ridiculous that these guys are like that. But they're just salesmen. They don't know what they're talking about. That's why I warn you. Egon does. So I played an Egon video the other day. This is Mark McGuire, and I would not recommend this one. He, again, it's the same. Mark's really an idiot, because when he talks to Alligator the week before, and he tells them there'll never be a CBDC. And then he asked Bill Halter about it. And Bill Halter said, oh, yeah, there'll be CBDCs. And it was all part of a plan since 1913. Yeah, so in 1913, they didn't have internet. So how the fuck would the plan be, we'll do CBDCs? The point of the central bank that they put in 1913 was to control the money. That was J.P. Morgan. That was, they should never have. It's in the Constitution. They're not supposed to have that. But regardless, there was no plan. They didn't in 1913 plan on, let's see, in 2023, we're going to have CBDCs. First of all, these guys are way too stupid to have any type of plans that would go more than a year or two. And I don't think this is a plan. I think this is just misrun idiots in charge of our financial and our government and our country. They're just idiots. They're not planning anything. They can't plan anything. This is not a plan. This is just Keynesians printing money to zero. That's all this is. There's no plan to it. What the fuck? Wondering if this war shit is what is going to bring down the USD Western currencies. No, the inflation is going to bring the currencies down. Everybody's like, even Egon said, well, it's about the inflation and then there's war. This has got nothing to do with wars. This is printing this money. This is it, period. There is no wage inflation. There's no such thing. There's no such thing as price inflation. These are made up Keynesian terms that aren't real. There's only one inflation, printing this to zero, which is what they're doing. That's the inflation, printing this and devaluing it. That's it. That's the inflation. There is no wage. If my salary goes up because I want to pay for my skill set. Maybe there's a lack of senior financial analysts. Who knows? Maybe there's more companies and there's not enough finance guys because people aren't getting into finance. Who knows? But it's all supply and demand. Howard, we offer you this much and I'll take it. And that's what it is. There's nothing else to do with it. In reality, that's prices. What do I say? We go here. So if this price went up, is that inflation? No, you raise the price. If people don't buy it, then you lower the price. That's got nothing. This is supply and demand. I have this. Do you want it? Yes or no? If there's demand, yes. And then you settle on a price you can charge. There's no such thing as price inflation, because if it's too high and people won't buy it, they lower the price. So there's no such thing. There is no such thing. It's the valuation of the dollar. So the dollar gets worth less. So things cost more. If that's but that's the inflation part. So these guys are really very stupid. They don't really know what they're talking about. And you just scratch your head. You hear these terms, deflation. There's no such thing as deflation. Again, if this goes down in price, guess what? This went down in price. You can't have deflation in a market economy because it's what the market will bear. So if you try to sell your car for 35, so let's say Tesla's got $100,000 electric cars, nobody wants them, and he lowers his price to 60,000. Is that deflation? No, that's the market saying we don't want to spend 100 grand on a fucking electric car from Tesla, so we're going to we're not going to pay for it. So he lowers the price. Or your house going down in values because interest rates go up. That's not deflation. That's the cost going up, and you can't. And nobody wants the market. It's the market saying we don't want it at that price. It could be we can't afford it, but it's not. There's no such thing as deflation. What is it? So inflation is you print this. What is deflation? Or they come up with these terms. Well, it's disinflation. Well, again, what are you pulling that out of your ass? That's not a real term. Luke, wondering if this, okay. So trying to explain, Luke, the currency goes down because they print it too much. Bottom line, the wars are the excuse. So the government with their master plan of being idiots, not knowing what the fuck they're doing because they're Keynesians, ruining the dollar, sit there and they create the war to blame it. So they'll blame, once the dollar goes to zero, they'll blame Putin. It's Putin's fault. The war in Ukraine that we started, that war caused us to print more money and devalued it. And that war is the reason we have inflation. It's Putin's fault because they can't admit that they're idiots and they ruin our economy. So they got to need somebody to blame. So it's Putin, or now this Israeli war. What the fuck is that? What is that? Who's behind that? It ain't Hamas and Israel fighting. Was it the U.S. and Russia over there fighting part two? We know the Ukraine war is just the U.S. against Russia. That's not, Ukraine's got nothing to do with it. They're just losing their guys. Zelensky takes the payoff and his people get killed because he's in a fucking war because he's making money on it. Remember, this guy's not a politician. He's not smart. Zelensky's a comedian. He got a comedian charge who took the money from the U.S. as a puppet. And this war is the U.S. saying, we're gonna have a war with Russia and the Ukraine, but we're gonna use your soldiers, so let them die. We don't care. But here's $10 billion. He's like, oh, okay, great. And I imagine this Israeli war is the same, same bunch of bullshit. But I was really shocked to hear this Bill Halter steal my lines, basically. The Titanic. Unbelievable. Well, do you understand what hyperinflation is, Luke? What do you think hyperinflation is? You tell me what you think it is, and then I'll tell you what it really is. Well, hyperinflation is the fear of the public. So in other words, the Titanic's going down and everybody's jumping to the lifeboats. They realize just a second, my IT guy. So it's the panic. Hyperinflation is when there's inflation and the people realize it. So the Titanic, it's hit the iceberg, but people aren't panicking yet. People don't know it's an unsinkable. This ship can't sink. It's unsinkable. Oh, I assure you it can sink. And it's going to sink, he says, right? And then at the moment people realize that the boat's going to sink and they're all dead because there's not enough lifeboats, that's what hyperinflation is. So once the light goes on and people realize that the dollar is gone and we're fucked, frenzy will take place as people will try to buy mostly grocery store, mostly goods. They'll all run to the grocery store and then they won't wait. So in other words, they'll get money in and they'll go buy immediately before the prices go up, because then everybody realizes the dollar isn't worth anything and they start selling, they start raising the price. So what happens is, that's my IT guy. He says, well, we could be down for, if we switch servers, we could be down for a couple of weeks or a month. What's the difference? I'm down for a month now. Anyway, basically, it's the panic. So once you realize that the dollar's worthless, you go to the store before prices go up. That's what hyperinflation is. Really, everybody going hyper, right? They realize the money's gone. That's what the wheelbarrow was in Germany. They took the wheelbarrow to buy milk and bread because they realized they would get paid lunchtime and after work in Germany in the 20s. So at lunchtime, they'd get paid. They'd go to the store and they'd buy their milk and their bread and whatever because they were afraid the prices were going up. Then at the end of the day, they'd get paid and they'd run to the store as the prices went up before they went up more. So they realized that the prices were going through the roof. Once they realized and understood that, then they kept just like, pay me now and then I'm going to go buy. I'm going to buy before the prices go up. That's inflation. That's hyperinflation. It's the panic. I've heard some idiots say, oh, it's 50% inflation. There's nothing to do with that. It's the people going hyper. That it's people waking up that now we're fucked. The currencies, the prices are keep going up and up and up. And then they panic, basically. That's hyperinflation. Otherwise, there is no, like, I've heard 50% is hyperinflation or, no, it's got nothing to do with it. There's no set thing. It's when the panic sets in, like on the Titanic, when they realize we're sinking and we got to run to the boats. That's hyperinflation on the Titanic, and the same thing with the boats. You pull out the wheelbarrow and you run and buy milk and bread before the price gets so high you can't afford it. And that's out. Hey, Bobby Bo, you damn right you're late to class. Well, didn't you know he was closed? Like, is he normally open Saturdays and today he happens to be closed? Well, give him a call, see if he's open. Anyway, you guys need to help me out finding a new server. So my IT guy doesn't know anybody, but he's telling me to go into chat. We can't find a phone number for this company. So it's really ridiculous. But anyway, if you guys know a place where you've got a website and you got a server, I mean, this is ridiculous. My site's still down. I don't know. He was open before on a Saturday. I mean, my guy's open Saturday 10 to 3. He's always closed Sunday and Monday. I don't know why he's closed Monday. You would think he'd want to be open Monday, especially since he's only open 10 to 3 on Saturday. Go, Bobby Bo, go. Let us know. Stop talking to me and concentrate on the road. Don't want you to get in an accident. So anyway, that's what hyperinflation is. It's the fear that the dollar's not worth anything, and more so that the prices will keep going up. I don't know, really, I don't know what it's waiting for, but people don't realize it, right? So they see the prices, but they're not going up and up and up. They've went up, but now they've kind of stopped. So that's what you have. That's what you have. You don't really have the prices. Like, I know the steaks went up a little. They're now $13 a pound, but I'm not running to buy a steak. The hamburger has gone up to like $7 a pound from $6 or $5. But that's not gonna, put me in a frenzy like my website. So anyway, we gotta figure that. But that's all hyperinflation is. It's once people realize it. So if we're we're 5 steps ahead. We already know what's going to happen. So we buy our gold and silver. And now that we have it, we're not really afraid of that. We'll have gold and silver, which will go up in price, not down. See, all this stuff will go down. That's the other thing Bill Halter stole from me. He's saying, well, it's all paper, bonds and stocks and in the bank. And the guy's just stealing my whole class, which I don't mind that he uses my ideas, but you got to ask first. You got to ask permission. You can't just take it like it's his. And the way he sounded, you didn't believe it was his anyway. But now again, these are what I've learned. But if I'm bringing up the Titanic, that was mine. And he's not the only one that stole that line from me. Looking like it's about to go nuts too, so that will cause even more inflation. It won't cause inflation, Luke. Luke, inflation is printing this. Oil's got nothing to do with printing that. Will the price of oil go up? If the supply goes down, prices go up. It has nothing to do with inflation. Understand, the only thing that has to do with inflation is printing this, and it loses value. If meat goes up in prices, it's got nothing to do with inflation. It's supply and demand. They've been trying to make steaks $20 and nobody buys them. So they lower their price. It's still the market in control. The market's always in control. You can set, I can set this at $500 for the bottle. Guess what? If nobody wants it, I either hold it and I don't sell it, or I lower the price to sell it. It's got nothing to do with inflation. The market controls prices, period. The government prints this to zero. That's the inflation. And it's the only inflation there is them printing this to zero, which is what they're doing. Makes this worth less. And when that's worth less, then it becomes things go up in price if the market will allow it. Otherwise, the company producing ends up losing. The company producing ends up losing. They won't make as much money because. So if this cost me $40 a bottle to make, now inflation hits. Now my costs go up to $50. If I can't sell this at 60 and make money, I got to go out of business. So just because my costs go up doesn't mean I can sell this more if the market doesn't take it. And that's what's happening, right? So if McDonald's is now $15 for a hamburger, ain't nobody going there, especially when you could go to the grocery store, buy the meat at $6 a pound. I can get 3 pounds for $18 and make 9 hamburgers, which is what I just did, versus going to McDonald's and getting a hamburger and fries, which will kill me, for $15. Why would I want to do that? I can make 9 hamburgers of good sirloin, cooking it my way with no buns, versus for $18 or $20, and you're selling it for $15. So McDonald's can only sell it for $6-7 for the burger, or maybe $9 or $10 for the burger and fries, and they try to throw in the drink. So all three will kill you between the pop, the sugar on the bun, and the fries, which are fried, and the mechanism will kill you. So McDonald's will kill you three ways. You can cook it at home with olive oil and good ingredients and in the oven, and it's all healthy for you. So if the price of oil goes up, that's not inflationary. That is a low supply because Saudi Arabia and Russia want to keep the supply down to get the price up. That's it. It's got nothing to do with inflation. So understand that, yes, the value of the dollar is going down because they're printing it. That we understand. This is dropping in purchasing power and value. Like I said, why do you think it's ripped? Because it's not worth anything. As Egon said, it's down 98%. Well, it's probably down 99% now. You can't pay off the debt. You owe $35 trillion. You can't pay off. You got $98 trillion about to come back in from the foreigners who are going to realize that the dollar is worthless. The U.S. creates these wars to say, oh, it wasn't our fault. We had to pay for the wars, and it was Putin, and he caused the inflation, when they're the ones who did it. And there's not a fucking plan, Mark McGuire. Why he thinks this is a plan? Who the fuck do you think can plan this? I mean, it's ridiculous. You don't have people smart enough to plan this. And then what are they going to do with it? Oh, we'll all go on CBDCs. That won't work because if it's fiat currency, CBDCs don't work. What am I going to use? There's no money. I don't want that. I want gold. And you're pushing everybody to gold and silver who are understanding enough to realize what's happening and what you're out. You cannot go into, as I said yesterday, we cannot go into euros. Going into euros is the same thing as holding dollars, as is Swiss francs, British pounds, yen, yuan, rubles. Going into another paper currency keeps you in the same spot. You might as well hold US dollars. It's all going down. It's all going to collapse. So your only out is gold and silver, not stock market, not the bonds, not the banks. You won't be able to get the money out of the bank. Now, Holter thinks that they won't do bailouts, only bail-ins. I don't believe that. They've already done bailouts. They bailed out the Credit Suisse people and the others. So what the fuck's he talking about? See, I hate these people that don't know what they're talking about making comments, and then you're like, well, that didn't Credit Suisse, they bailed them out. The fuck you talking about? Or the RSB bank bought all their assets, and basically they are covering it. But yeah, get your money out of the bank. But even if you keep your money in the bank and you can get it out, it's inflated. 100 grand's only worth 60 grand. So if it's only worth 60 grand, yeah, you can have your 100 grand, but it's not 100 grand that you put in. Luke, we are going to get squeezed here in USA Oil. Bobby, what's on your menu for today? Bobby's buying, he's going to the coin store. So he's driving. He's got till 1. So let Bobby drive. But moving fast, we're getting caught at lights. Feels like the bottom of the 9th at Shea right now. Well, you'll be fine, Bobby. Just you got 40 minutes, unless it's an hour away. But if it's close, can you not call him up and buy it over the phone like I do with my guy when I was in Alabama? Maybe that's an out. Not sure what you mean by squeezed here in U.S. Oil, where if the supply is down, the price goes up. That's what happens. So they've been keeping the price down for some reason, unless you're in California when it's $6 a gallon, but in Michigan it's $3.25, $3.30. So there's so much state tax on it and federal tax on it. The real price of oil is like $1.50. And then the state adds $1 and the feds add $1 and you're paying $3.50, $4.50. And it's all taxes. What a nightmare. Just a second. I got a bug to kill. So this is the point that you need to understand is all the inflation is printing the money. And why is there money in that gold? Because the morons in charge who become politicians, who work for the banks, want to steal money. So they print money. And they can't print it if it's gold. You can't print gold. You can't copy gold. So they go and they go put in a Federal Reserve, and that's why there's Federal Reserves or central banks in every country. So the politicians can cheat. And it probably goes to George Soros. So he can keep the German, the Nazi mentality going. And they're just a bunch of thieves. So they print money or paper because they can't print gold. So they know about gold, but they know that they don't want gold to come in or their game's up, but they don't realize they're playing a game they can't win, and this will go to zero, and they don't realize that. So gold, that's the ace in the hole for us. They'll lose all their power because they'll lose all their money. We'll be in gold and silver, and we'll be like, oh, thanks for making us rich. But it's got nothing to do. People think gold is because of only good in bad times, and it's not. You've got to understand it's paper gold, and they keep the price down. But gold's not good in bad times. If you just were on the gold standard, gold would be good all the time. Gold would be a commodity just like a mantle card. And if people want it, it goes in price. It's like saying Microsoft's only good in bad times. Well, not really. So, I'm not sure. These people, the more they talk, the stupider they sound. And an alligator saying, well, it's not the gold going up, it's the dollar going down. No, it's the gold going up because of the paper suppression. Excuse me. Once the paper gold goes away and it's physical gold, you can bet your ass that price is going up. If you had no inflation and you allowed physical, it would be the same as the mantle card, right? There's a mantle card I show you, 60. Look at the Montana rookies, 100,000, 125,000. Is that because we're in a good economy or there's inflation? Or not? No, it's all free market. Somebody has the card. It's a PSA 10. Somebody's a big Montana fan. He'll pay 125 for it. It's graded. It's got nothing to do with the economy or anything. The guy would rather have the Montana card than the money. Simple as that. We would rather have the gold than the money. We might want the Montana card too. We want the gold over the money because the money's worthless, because it's just paper and they print it to death. We understand that. That's why we want the gold. It doesn't matter if you have a good economy or bad economy. If you had a good economy, you would probably have the dollar backed by gold. So then what would the price be? It would be a ton, because the demand for gold would always be there. Now it's, I'm getting out of the dollar, I need gold. But even if it wasn't, just like the mantle card or the Montana card, it would still, why is there Picasso's worth $1 million? Well, the economy's good. So are Picasso's only good in a bad economy? No. So why would gold be the only asset that's only good when there's a crash or when it's a bad economy? That's such bullshit. It's all market. See, these are guys that do not understand what a free market is. They might say they do. They might say they're Austrians, but they're not. They don't understand the concepts. That's the difference. So when they say, when Maloney says he's an Austrian, or Schiff says he's an Austrian, or that other Andy Scheckman says he's an Austrian, they're not. They don't know what the fuck they're talking about. They're salesmen. Because they can't explain it the way I explain it. When Maloney has to put up charts, he's not an Austrian. Do you ever see me put up a chart? And you never will, because we don't use charts. but only an Austrian would know that. Then when Andy Schechtman talks about supply of gold, does he talk about paper gold? No. The only way that the gold price is going up is to get out of paper and into physical price. Then the price will go up, and it's being held down. So how can you say it's only good in a bad? Okay, well, it's a pretty bad environment. It's a pretty bad economy right now. Why isn't gold going up? Because it's manipulated. So don't tell me when the dollar goes down, it's not gold going up. Now it is going up. If you allowed a physical market, the price of gold would be 20, 30,000 an ounce easily. And that would raise it to 50, 60,000 easily, because a lot of people are stupid to it. And that's the problem I have with these guys who say it's only good in a bad economy. It's not, but they're looking at paper. It's never been priced physically. But we see when the Montana rookie card gets priced physically, it's $125. I bought the card for what, $100 in 1992 or 3 or 4. I paid $100 for my Gem Mint Montana card that's a tiny bit off center. Now it's going to be worth $100,000 if it comes back 10. You fucking kidding me? In a good economy, I'm collecting cards. I'm collecting gold and silver. So the ounce I bought yesterday, I got an ounce yesterday, Luke. I paid $2,000 for it. I'm like, okay. I would rather have that than the money. I'd rather get out of the system. And I hope this Bill Haller starts quoting me and not stealing from me and making it sound like he knows what he's talking about. When he says it, it doesn't appear that he knows. I get it at the store. When I buy the gold, I ask them for the case, and they give me the case. Now, I have the case for casino chips, so I have some extras if I need it. But when I go to the store, they can give me the size of coin, a quarter ounce, a half, Canadian or U.S., Krugerrand. But that's what I get it. I wouldn't put it for all your silver. I use the white case for that. But my gold, all my gold is in cases. It's just like all my baseball cards are in the hard plastics. Condition's critical. Now in gold, we're not collecting it. We're collecting gold, but we don't care condition that much. Like the Montana rookie I got as gem mint as I could. Very sharp corners. I couldn't find it perfectly centered, but the picture's good. The corners are good. The edges there's no writing. It's a perfect card, a little bit off center. Still could get a 10. You could go 60-40 and still get a 10, so I'm hoping. But with gold, I'm not buying it as Gem Mint or PS70 or MS70 or MS69. That's the coin grades. I'm not buying for that reason. Oh, it's going to go up because I'm buying it because it's an ounce of gold. So I'm going to protect it in this, but they're just going to see an ounce of gold and they're going to buy it. They're not going to sit there and worry about condition. Although he had some scratched maple leafs and he was selling them at spot. And I was surprised because it's an ounce of gold. The fact that it's scratched, does it really matter? I mean, are you not going to buy it as an ounce? Are you going to say, well, it's scratched? Well, I'll sell it on eBay or I'll just go to Switzerland, give it to Egon, say, here, give me a unscratched. I don't know that anybody would matter. It's a white case silver. I'll show you. So I put them in a white case. So this is what they give you at the store. So I got 20 of them in here. Whoops. So I got 20 silver ounces. So instead of putting them in 20 cases, I got 600 of them. So I'm not going to do that. So they give you this, and this store is 20. So I got the 20 in here. And then I just close it up here. So when I travel, if I give Jenna like 10 ounces or 5 ounces, I'll put it in here, add a couple of quarter ounces of gold, and then I give her to her, and then she should put all the gold and silver I gave her into this, and then you can hide this or store it, but then it's fine. So that's what I mean by the white plastic, but there's no reason to buy 600 of these to put your silver in when you have this. And even you can use this for your gold. But I'm not really worried about scratching my gold. If I put it in that, I wouldn't worry about it. But it's just because I got the baseball cards in the hard plastic. So I want my my gold in the hard plastic because of the baseball cards. But I'm a collector. I'm collecting baseball, and I'm collecting gold and silver. I hate that term stacker. It just sounds ridiculous. I'm not stacking it. I'm collecting it. Now the question is, is it an investment or is it not? Well, I don't know how this isn't. I guess define investment for me. You're buying an asset and you hope it goes up. That's what I'm doing with gold. In a sense, it's an investment. Is buying money an investment? So you get your paycheck. Is that an investment? So you get $2,000. What do I do with my money? Well, if I invest it in the stock market, or I can invest it in a bond, or I can invest it in a CD, or I can invest it in gold and silver. I mean, I think to me, taking your money to get more money, to use your money to buy something so it goes up in value is an investment. So in my mind, gold and silver are clearly an investment. They are money, but this is a casino chip. This is an investment. The gold and silver are an investment. The Bobby Bow card, this is an investment. I'm hoping it goes up. If Bobby goes back and plays, you know what you need to do, Bobby? You need to coach like a college football team. Go coach Alabama, and then your cards will go up. Then we can, or go coach LSU. God knows they need a defensive coach, and then your cards will go up. Deion Sanders' cards were going up when he became the coach. So to me, this is an investment. Now, buying euros is not. I'm not expecting the euro to go up in value. I was in Europe, so I happened to come home with the €5. What was I going to do with it? But this is an investment in the fact we are getting out of dollars, but we are also anticipating the price of the gold and silver to go up because it's been suppressed. What we're really expecting, A, we're buying it to get out of dollars. B, we're buying it because it's been paper priced, suppressed. We see it's going to blow up because Russia's coming out with their gold-backed ruble, and BRICS is coming out with their gold-backed currency, and Russia's charging, and Saudi Arabia gold for their oil. So the demand for gold's going up. The US dollar and all these are exploding and going to zero. So the demand, so let's look at it as free market. And the demand for gold will go up. So therefore the price will go up. The COMEX should blow up because the demand will be too great. They actually need physical gold, I believe, is how it works. I'm not 100% sure, but I believe that since COMEX has gold, they can do derivatives against it. But once they run out of gold, which they're running out of, they can't do derivatives without having physical gold. So I think that's what ends it. So in that case, once the demand for gold and silver will go way up as people realize the dollar is going down and Russia needs a higher gold price for the oil and for their ruble. the gold-backed ruble will need a much higher price. So therefore, with all that being said, the demand for gold will go up. The price of gold will go up. It's an investment. So it's A, to get out of the US dollars, I'll buy gold. And B, because it's been paper priced and now it's going to be physically priced because everybody's buying gold, because most people are starting to realize we're fucked, except for the US people who are too stupid to understand anything, or they're too close-minded. If I tell you to buy gold and I explain it, what are you doing not buying it? Well, I told you. Oh, well, I've only got a master's in economics, so what do I know? That's what kills me. So if I explain it to you, and I don't tell you without explaining it, the dollar's going to zero. Well, I don't believe that. It's been around. Okay. And the Titanic wasn't going to sink either, was it? So when I explain that to you, then you should buy gold and silver. And then as demand goes up, the price goes up. So it's a double for us. We're getting out of dollars because they're going to zero. And we're also getting into gold and silver, waiting for the ride up. So we can't tell the ride up, but we know it's coming. And we know the dollar's collapsing because it's not backed by anything. It's just worthless paper. Yes, Bill, it's worthless paper. Please quote me when you say that on these other shows, motherfucker. Nothing I hate more than somebody stealing from me. I'll get to that point. I'll watch it again, and when he says it, I'll mark it for tomorrow. But that's why we're doing it. So it's the same thing. So I'll use girls and money in the same way. There's a market for them. There's high demand for them, and you pay for them. So if you meet an escort, if you meet a red light girl in Amsterdam, you pay for the sex because it's in demand. You want it, you can afford it. It's a demanded item. She's hot, you're a European girl, you go and you pay for it. But there's a market for it and a demand for it, and then you settle on the price. If the price is too high, you don't do it. That's what kills me. These porn stars. Oh, I want 2,000. Yeah, okay. Well, good luck on that. Who do you think? I can get a hotter girl in Amsterdam than you, who's 50, 60 euros for a half hour. What do I need to spend all that on you? So that's really the point, is there's a market for it. And then it's the same market for gold and silver as for the girls. There's huge demand and it will go up. But the difference would be derivativing the girl, going, well, there's a girl and she's only $5 because we're doing derivatives. So the paper price for the girl is $5. The physical is 60. But it's the same thing. There's a market for it. That's what I'm trying to explain. The market for a girl, yeah. There's a market for gold, yes. So because there's markets, that's why it works. So is there a market for the dollar? There was, and everybody got into it, but now the people in the dollar are starting to realize it's not a market for it. It's really not worth what I paid for it, so they're going to dump it. And they're starting to realize that, and I don't know how they get it. At what point do they realize the dollar's no good? Here it'll be harder because we deal with it. So we get paid in dollars. We go to the grocery store in dollars. We pay our rent in dollars. We won't really feel it, but what'll happen is they'll start raising rent. They'll start raising the prices, and then they'll just say, well, that's price increases. Not inflation, or inflation is the price increase, but they don't say what inflation is. So nobody gets the game that the money's worthless. They just think the prices went up. So they go, oh, well, the prices went up. Oh, darn. And I warned both the barbecue and the Chinese woman and the barbecue place, you cannot charging $100 for General Chow. You will not have any customers. And you can't charge $45 for a slab of ribs. You cost might go up, but the market will dictate what you charge. And that's what it is. And so, like I said, the girl can charge $100 and the girl can charge $1,000. But if you charge $1,000, you're limiting your market. Gold and silver is $2,000 an ounce. We can afford it. It should be higher, but we just say thank you and we buy more of it. And silver at 25 an ounce, we buy it and we say thank you. We know it's going to go up. So it's all supply demand. It's all market. What does the market bear? And we have not had a gold market with real gold physical price ever. It's always been manipulated because the government wants, they're all criminals, want to print the dollar, and they go print $1 million of nothing and they can go spend it. And everything, it's much easier if you have a lot of money, even though it's worthless, but it's a secret. Don't tell anybody that it's worthless. This has been worthless since 72. When they took us off the gold standard, they're printing air, but nobody gets the game. And that's why they don't teach Austrian economics anymore, because they don't want people like me to tell you, because I didn't understand until I took the Austrian economics class that the paper's worthless. I'll tell you, after the first or second class, the first class, he ripped the dollar and he just threw it on the ground and said, this is worthless. That got my attention. And since that class, I got it, right? I understand. And then he explained the trade cycle. And then I did a thesis on the trade cycle versus the stock market, because that's how I think. And he loved that. He gave me an A on that paper. He loved it. So anyway, that's what's happening. And it's all the market. So don't get confused. There is no oil inflation. There's no food inflation. There's no wage inflation. It's all free market. If you offer me X, I take it. If you offer me Y, I don't. The girl says I'm $1,000. We say no. She says I'm $200. We might say yes. It's whatever the market bears. It's all a market. And if there was no market for girls, they wouldn't be able to do it, right? If nobody wanted to pay for a girl to have sex with, they wouldn't be able to do it. But that's not how it works. There's a market for that, just like there's a market for gold. There's a huge market for gold, but they'll kind of silence that, and then they'll silence the fact that the dollar is worthless. And then they have 35 trillion in debt, and they'll try to, but they won't really explain how to get rid of it. They can't get rid of it. So they'll just blame Putin, or they'll blame this war in Israel. And that's ends up what's happening. So everything's about a market. I can only sell things that people want to buy. So the only person I can sell this to is Bobby Bow. Nobody else will pay much for it. If I put it on eBay, $30, $40, if it's a PSA 10, which it is, it's centered, corners, nice card, good picture. But I have to go to the market to see what somebody will pay for it, right? That's what I have to do. And with that said, anything has a market for it. But if nobody wants the dollar, it goes to zero. Now, oil, they can come out and raise the price of oil. But if nobody wants it, they can't. What do I mean by that? Well, why aren't they charging $50 a gallon now? Because we won't buy it. We'll ride a bike, we'll walk, we'll drive less if it gets too expensive. So that's why they don't do it. Think about it. Everybody needs oil for their car, and yet why is the price $3.50 for a gallon and not $30.50? So it's things like that. It's the same thing with the ribs. Why are they 25 or 28 and not 40? And the Chinese lady better be careful raising her prices. She never raises them. They just went from 11 to 13 and 13 to 15 in the last few months. And if she ain't careful, we'll start going for the lunch portion of the general chow and not the dinner portion, and then still pay our price. She thinks because her costs went up, she could pass it on. She doesn't understand. I told her you better. So how many customers have you lost? Oh, no, they understand my costs went up. No, they don't. They don't give a fuck about your costs. Your costs are still cheap. But if you start making $20, $25 meals, you'll be out of business because nobody can afford that. They can afford the $13, $14 or whatever, Saturday dinner. Or instead of going every week, I'll start going every other week or once a month. And I can afford $20 for General Chow, but not every week. Well, I could, but I mean, most of the customers aren't going to be able to. So that's why the market controls everything. You can only sell, what the market will bear, and that's really the end of it. So that's what it is. So keep that in mind. So that's why oil isn't $100, but the demand for gold will go up, and that'll raise the price, and we'll get rid of this silly derivative. How that's even legal, it's so criminal that, again, it was to suppress the price so JP Morgan could print all these dollars, trillions of dollars, but these idiots don't see that's what the problem is, right? The market, nobody wants it because it's just paper, and so they have all this debt that they can't sell, and people aren't going to buy it. So now they got all this dollars that nobody wants. So what do you do with 35 trillion in debt? Well, you got to pay it. It goes to other countries who bought it, right? They were the ones who bought it in the first place. And then we're buying our own dollars. I love that. The Treasury buys the Fed's dollars or vice versa. I don't know how that works, but I know the debt's being bought by, I think, the Fed, let's say. And so therefore, there's no demand. There's no market for it. So that's another reason it'll collapse, but it's because these guys are criminals. They just want to buy they'll buy the treasuries, and it'll go nowhere, and then it blows up. And we're real close to that. You can't say when. It's just going to happen. Now, I don't know what'll trigger the 90 trillion of foreign to go. Something will have to be done. But you can't keep having wars. They're too expensive. There's no revenue in a war, right? We go send planes and missiles and bazookas and stuff, tanks and planes and ships to the Ukraine and or here to Israel. What's the revenue? We're not getting any revenue. It's the cost. And therefore, you can't just spend. You've got to have revenue. So, the recession's here, the depression's coming, the dollar's going to collapse, the debt will just be way overwhelming. I mean, imagine if you had $500,000 on your credit card and you made $60,000 a year. How the fuck would you pay it off? Well, eventually you just give up. You'd say, well, I can put in $500 a month, and I'll be dead 100 years and I'll still owe it. So I mean, that's what ends up happening. So what's the U.S. going to do with 35 trillion in debt? And when the 90 trillion come back, that's more inflation. So now your dollar's worth nothing. I mean, it's not worth anything now, but it'll be worth a lot less. Who's going to want it? Nobody in the market will want your dollars. Nobody in the market will want the euro or the British pound or the Swiss franc. Nobody in the market, they'll all want gold. And that's when gold goes up. And that's when we blow up the COMEX and we get to a real physical price. And if you don't have it, how are you going to afford 20,000 ounce gold or 2,000 an ounce silver? You can afford it now. And if you don't buy it, if you're like waiting, you're like, what are you waiting for? Just go ahead and buy it. Let's see if I got any more emails. No. So keep that in mind. It's that's what you're doing, right? You're buying it to get out of paper. So in my mind, gold is an investment. It's money, but it's also an investment. Well, we all know, Luke, soon. Good news, Bobby. Bo got there on time, but they're no good. Bastard charged the premium and sales tax on silver. What kind of? So how about? What do you mean? You can't charge sales tax. It's not. It's money. You can't charge sales tax. How much did he charge you on a premium? Well, there's always a premium, but the spot's what, 22. So you should have paid if you bought the bullet. If you bought what I got. So if you bought this should have cost you like 25, 26, right? If you bought this, it's 25, 26. If you bought the Eagle, that's actually the $1, probably about 34, 35. How much tax could he have charged you if you bought the bullion for 25? What do you got? 3, 4%. So maybe you paid an extra dollar. You bought a 10-ounce bar. Did he not have? Well, that's still bullion. So what did you pay? $25, $26. So $260. That's all you should have paid for it. And I wouldn't go back there because he's charging tax. You should have told him that's illegal. You can't charge tax on that because he's not going to pay the tax on it. I would report him to the government. You paid $280 total, so $260 plus $20 tax. I would report him because he will never report the tax because it's not a taxable item, silver. So therefore, he took your money, he took your tax. He called it tax, but he won't do it. I would report him to the state. Report him to Santos. Tell him this guy's a crook and you want him reported. Yeah, but I would have given him a piece of him. I would have laid him down with the rock bottom. I wouldn't let him. I wouldn't just be so kind and take it. I'd say there's no sales tax in Florida. What are you talking about? You don't pay sales tax at your other store, so why would you pay sales tax there? Now the premium. Was it a high premium? Did he pay extra for the premium? The premium's usually, I don't know, $2 or $3. So if silver is 22, what's silver today? So silver is 22.71. That's the spot. Maybe you would have paid 25. So that's, well, that's a $3 more is 25.71 times 10. So $260. Looked him right in the eye and said, "You know that I don't need $20 that bad. Maybe you do, sir. Now I know where not to go moving forward." Tell him you know the professor, and he will be all over YouTube with it. Yeah, that's just bullshit, Bobby. It's not that you need it or not. So he charged you, well, I mean, the premium, okay, $4 or $5 or probably $3 an ounce. That's fine. My guy would probably charge 25. If silver's at 22.60, I'd probably pay 25.60 or something like that. He had no cash in his register. Yeah, it's in his pocket. So a 10-ounce bar, are you sure it's authentic? Does it say 999 real silver troy ounce on it? Or 10-ounce silver bar? Make sure it's, that you actually bought silver. But I would report them. I would call the Secretary of State or whoever. He charged $26.47. We charged $4. Let's see. So 22.71. So he charged 23, 24, 25. He charged 350 roughly over. That's probably not terrible. I mean, I would pay premium on mine. I don't know if it's that much, but I would have paid premium. That's not a bad price. 10 troy ounces, fine silver. Okay, so where's it from? Do you know? Like, what's the name on it? But anyway, so that's not a bad price, but you should have only paid $260. He charged you $16. So he's charging you, well, 10% would be $2.60. He charged you like 50% tax. Where's he getting that much tax? What's your tax in Florida? 10% sales tax? That's ridiculous. That's not 10% of 264 would be $2 or no, it would be $20. Maybe I gotta get so 100. So 10% on 100 is $10. Okay, so he charged you 8, so like 8%, 7%. Okay. Yeah, so 7% of 264, well, 7% of 300 would be $21. So yeah, about 7% tax that he'll never report. So he just stole it from you. I would have said, I don't pay tax at the others. And I don't know. I would have waited till Monday to go to the other guy. He lied because he said 264. I had 260 because I didn't carry cash. And I came back with 280. And he says, you don't give me enough money. He was a joke. He said, if I buy 2 bars, it's no tax. No, it's no tax for that. He said 264 and I had 260. I don't carry cash he says he doesn't carry cash. And I came back with 280 and he says, you don't give me enough money. You gave him it was 264 and you had 260. So then you pulled another 20 out and you didn't have change for you. I'd have pulled out my debit card. Well, online's more expensive, Luke. Well, you should have said, I'm going to call the state because you're charging sales tax. There's no sales tax on silver and gold. And I would have said that to him. If he thinks he's going to get in trouble with the state and close him up and go to jail, then there's a good chance of that. But Luke, online's not really, I'd rather go to the store than go online any day. I get a better price and I walk away with it and I can give a guy cash. You go to JD Bullion, you're paying $50, $60 more. Their price is for, money orders or something. But if you're using a debit or credit card, they're charging you a ton more for using the card. And you can't really send them cash. So unless you send a cashier's check, then you got to mail it to them. But even so, it's very expensive. I would never go JD Bullion, maybe ST Bullion, but even Bitcoin or eBay, So if we go to eBay and we look at, if I go to eBay, see, these are 252. Now on eBay, these are free shipping, and you're going to pay tax on these on eBay because it's under $600. I don't know what the tax is. 260, 250. And if you're on JM Bullion, they're probably more. Yeah, I don't know how long he'll be in business if he doesn't have money and he's charging sales tax. I would be killing the guy. I spent $30+ online on Eagles and all that, so didn't mind spending the money. Since I see the big picture of the asset, it was more principal. Well, of course it's principal. It's the same thing. Nobody wants to be cheated, right? So if you knew, so the problem is, was there any other stores? And the one that's closed, he's normally open on Saturday. Would the guy that you normally buy from, would he be open Monday? And if he would, then just wait till Monday. Silver's not going anywhere over the weekend. They're going to move, but I don't think Monday silver's going to go to $60 an ounce. I mean, it should, but I don't think Monday it's going to. So it's 22.17. So look at gold yesterday, up $60. See that, Luke? $60 you got yesterday on your paper gold. 22.71. So, well, silver might go to 23, 24 until the Russians really boom it up. But I would think Monday you can get it down maybe $23. So I would have waited, because really you cost yourself probably an ounce, because you could have got, with the $20 you paid in tax, almost it's a free ounce that you kind of lost because they're $20. Bobby, I'm surprised with your net worth that you're not already positioned with a few million in bullion. Luke, don't go there, please. That's got nothing to do with class, and that's personal. So please stay away from personal. We're trying to help Bobby with his contract by putting it into gold, but don't go there, please. But yeah, I mean, the silver should jump, but look at the gold was 1810 and now it's 1932 paper. So maybe it's because of the war, maybe not, but what we're trying to look at. But again, there's demand, just like demand for girls, there's demand for gold and silver. Some people wouldn't pay for girls. Well, they think they won't pay, but they do. You don't pay directly, you pay indirectly. Oh yeah, you want a car. Oh yeah, you want jewelry. You're always paying for the girl in one way or the other. But with the gold and silver, I'm waiting so I can start paying the girls in gold and silver. That's I keep telling them, you should take silver and gold. Don't take money. It's funny. Trying to teach. But no, that's what it is. But the reason gold and silver will never go low is because of the demand. Because our competition is this shit, right? So if our competition is this and this versus gold, there's no competition. These are both worthless, right? This is a euro, it's worthless, and the dollar's worthless. So they can't compete with gold. So if I own gold, I have nothing to worry about that something's going to come out that nobody will want gold. That's what the Bitcoiners are trying to do, is say, you don't need gold, buy Bitcoin. What's Bitcoin? Nobody knows what it is. No, you can't explain it. You can't explain why it goes up, because it's a Ponzi scheme. It goes up the same way of Madoff. Why would anybody want to be in a Madoff Ponzi scheme once we understand what the Madoff Ponzi scheme was? Oh, I'm going to make $1 million on Bitcoin. Oh, okay. Good luck on that one. I got some oceanfront property in Detroit to sell you. I'm surprised you still haven't named the hospital. It's all good. I like to accumulate according and listen in class to learn more. Oh, yeah, but see, I don't really want to get into how much Bobby's worth or what he's got or what that. Yes, buy gold and silver. I tell him to get his contract changed to gold so he doesn't lose money on it, but I don't. That's just being protective, not, but, you know. I know he asked me how much gold I have, and I tell him, but that's okay. I don't mind because I'm the leader, so I'm telling you what I have so you can go, yeah, well, if he's got it, he's putting his money where his mouth is, then I'll do it. That's the point of that. But anyway, so we will see. But really, that's what it is. The whole world's in paper going to zero. Now, what I don't like is they all think that the world's going to end or it's going to be, like Egon going, well, yeah, but when the gold does go up, you're not going to be happy because the dollars will go out. And they don't understand that. Why is there dollars in the first place? Because it's a medium of exchange. We need something to pay people, and then they can go shopping. Adam Smith, what is it? You work, you consume, and then you buy. Right? I don't remember the exact word. My mind's a little foggy with the stupid website, but you make your money and then you buy. We'll put it easy. Why do we have dollars? Because you got to get paid in something, and then you got to take the dollars to go buy stuff to consume it. So that's the whole point of it. So because all the dollars are worthless, these idiots are thinking, well, that'll be the end. No, they'll come out with new dollars because you need the medium of exchange to get paid and buy things. That won't go away, that concept. So people thinking there'll be a barter system, they're clueless. People thinking that the world's going to collapse when the dollars collapse are idiots because that's not what's going to happen. They'll come out with dollars because Coca-Cola and Pepsi and chocolate chips are not, Oreos are not going to go out of business. They'll just, okay, here's the new currency. Here's the new medium of exchange. And we hope it's backed by gold or silver or something. But if they just come out with a stack of new bills, that'll last about 3-4 months. And then people will realize, well, it's the same bullshit you had, and that collapsed, so this is going to collapse. So the only out will be gold-backed currency, which everybody will run to Russia and China and BRICS for. That's what will happen. It's not going to be this collapse where, oh, what do we do? We're going to have starvation. No, you'll have money. How do you buy things? With the new money. You're going to change your money, your old money for new money. So what happened to Russia when they came out with the new ruble? Did it collapse? No, they came out with ruble number 8. What's Brazil doing? And Venezuela and Argentina, they're all coming out with new currency. That's still worthless, but they can get paid and go to the store. And that's the point of money as a medium of exchange. But because these idiots print it to death, it destroys the value of it because you can't have so many of them, then it ruins it. Then they become worthless. But the Keynesians, for some reason, haven't understood this over the last 300 years, where Spain was number one, France was number one, England was number one, and they all collapsed because they got away from gold into printing money that was worthless. So that's what will happen. The CBDCs will never happen. Even if they do, they won't last because it's fiat. You got to have a gold-backed CBDC to have any chance, but people don't want to be in CBDCs. Maybe if you intrigue it with gold, that might help, but just a regular CBDC won't do anything. And again, the cowboy and Mark McGuire are clueless on that. The more I listen to Mark, the less I think he knows. And the more you hear Bill Halter or Andy Scheckman or any of these guys, you realize they don't know anything. Well, it's price inflation. Oh, God. What is that? That there's no such thing. They're making things up. Oh, God. Yeah, you're an idiot. All right. So there's always a medium of exchange. This is what you must understand. They're going to pay you in something. So Bobby goes and plays baseball. Well, I'm going to pay you to play, right? You want to play on my team. You're good. I'm going to pay you. And how am I going to pay you? I could pay you in oranges. I could pay you in Canadian Club. So you worked out something called money. So I could pay you in money, and you can turn around and use that to buy clothes, to buy food, to pay for your mortgage, to da. That's where it came. In Holland, it used to be tulips. In Roman times, they were smart enough to use gold and silver. And they probably had pennies, nickels, dimes, and quarters in Rome, and dollars in silver, so they could buy milk with the penny or the nickel, and then the bigger things, the clothes, they might use a penny's gold or something, right? That's how it would be priced. But they were smart enough to use gold and silver. Then they took it out of their coins, and it got corrupt. Sounds familiar. The people in charge got corrupt. There was no balances. That's why they put in balances here. So it's checks and balances. So you can't have this power like Biden, and he just steals everything, and he cheats and he lies, and nobody checks him because now it's all corrupt. And you can see that's the end. Once you have Biden stealing and Hunter Biden doing this, all these other guys, and we're at a war that we shouldn't be in, and you got these Pelosi's and all these crooks and the Clintons who steal, and then they don't go to jail for it. Once you get that, it's all over, because then they, look what they're doing to Trump and look what they're doing to Biden. Obama should be in prison, but no, he's in charge of it. So Biden steals all this money. Oh, well, then they corrupt the FBI and the CIA. So you've got a very corrupt country. That's when it's over, because they'll print money, and then it becomes this whole communistic look of government control. You do what they say, or they're going to put you in jail. That's not freedom. That's not America. That's how it should be, but that's not how it is. So you've got to realize what's going on here. But again, the only way out is gold and silver, because the money they're destroying, either they're real smart or they're real stupid. And it sounds like they're real stupid. So they don't want the competition, so they won't let the gold price go up, and they keep printing in dollars. And they keep thinking, we'll just keep printing, and that it doesn't matter. And this is the problem. Eric, watching the Rutgers game, Little Rain. Okay, Mark McGuire is slowly becoming Madoff. Well, I think that Halter's Madoff, and I think Rule's Madoff, and Reichert's Madoff. We know Schiff is Madoff, and then this Andy Wexman guy is Madoff. The only one that's not Madoff is Egon and Alligator. But yeah, all of a sudden I hear McGuire go, well, if we all buy an ounce, then the price will go up. Huh? You out of your fucking mind? The price is only going up when COMEX collapses, because it's still going to be priced in paper. How is that such a hard concept to understand? I don't get it. There's a paper price that's fixed. Everybody in the world could buy 10 ounces of gold, and it wouldn't raise the gold price. Only when the COMEX blows up and stop selling derivatives to keep the price down will the price go up. That's being controlled. What part of that do we not understand? So that's where I'm at with it. It blows my mind how stupid people are. That's why it's very hard to listen to certain people. It's like my server. I'm waiting and waiting. Why is my site down for another day? Well, I even went on and I Googled this error, and I said, here's how you fix it. And I sent it to my IT guy to send to these idiots, because what are they doing? Why is this taking so long? And we can't find a phone number for this company. I think they were merged. Somebody bought them out, and maybe they don't know what they're doing, but it's ridiculous. By the way, tonight's the big, long-awaited over. USC Notre Dame? Yeah. We got Oregon at 3:30, and you got USC on at 7:30, and your LSU game will be on somewhere. Yeah, well, unfortunately, we got the weather, but if we didn't get the weather, it would have been 66. And yeah, they owe us revenge for the Ohio State game. There's no question about it. But we'll see. But it should be high scoring. I don't know how you're going to keep Caleb Williams down, and I don't know how they're going to keep Hartman down. So, yeah, I mean, unless it's 30-mile-an-hour winds, which I don't think, I think that would have went from 60 to 55 if that was the case. Anyway, so that's what's happening. It's all about markets. It's all about supply and demand. As people realize the dollar's worthless, they'll get out and go into gold because it's the only thing you can go into. Even as stupid as most people are about gold and silver, and they don't think it goes because they don't understand it's paper priced. So once you understand the whole picture, it's a very easy concept. I'm going into gold and silver because it's the only out. There's no other paper currency I can go into. I can't go into the bank because I might not get it out, and it's still in paper currency, which we've already talked about. What Holder is trying to steal from me is basically there is no other currency. You don't want to be in the bank. You don't want to be anything to do with paper. Get off the Titanic and into my gold boat. That's my thing, Holder, asshole. And that's where we're at. So I don't know. Anything else? Good luck today. Let's go watch some football. I'm going to go swim and get my Chinese. And it's the leaves are going a little bit. I don't see it's wet, but I don't see it raining. Not that it's that strong. So I don't know what the fuck these guys are all worried. Oh, there's going to be rainstorms, and all the unders went down 4 points. What a scam that is. So you may bet the under because you think it's going to be rainy. And I'll tell you, I looked at that Cincinnati-Seattle game tomorrow. And I go on, give me weather in Cincinnati this weekend. And I went and I looked at tomorrow, and it's very little wind, no rain, just precipitation zero, maybe 10-mile-an-hour winds. Well, that's not going to stop Burrow and Smith. Then I looked at Chicago, Minnesota, and Chicago is very windy. So that will be 20 to 30-mile-an-hour winds. Well, not that Fields can throw anyway, but that was a strong overplay. But we got Jefferson out, and now we got the wind, so they'll run it more, I guess. But they'll still be throwing. But I don't know. Well, it's only 43, so you still might go over with Fields and that defense. Bobby, I lost some trust in Hartman, but my guy Caleb will come through. Well, Hartman played Ohio State and Duke, two very strong defenses. It's like Zach Wilson. He played Dallas and he played Buffalo's defense, so you're not going to light it up. Rodgers might have, but Rodgers might have had a hard time. It's just been a tough schedule until they get Miami. Then we'll see the Jets start scoring. But I didn't lose trust in Hartman. He's a good quarterback. He's not the problem. It's the play calling, I think. Well, yeah, obviously USC's got a better play caller in their coach. I do think Notre Dame comes to play for the upset. And it's not an upset, Bobby. They're favored. Notre Dame's favored by 2.5, so it's not an upset. They'll score because apparently USC's defense, me and you could go out there, Bobby, with some of the guys in class and put up 30 points on them. You'd have the quarterback, though. I'm a good receiver. But, Hartman will light them up because they have no defense. That's why we look at defense so strong. That's why I tell you this, like Duke. Duke's got an 11 defense. USC's got a 27 defense. Of course Hartman will light them up. But against Duke, he's going against an 11 defense. No wonder they're not scoring. So it's not as easy as you think. Just need LSU and Florida State to win with that over. Again, LSU and again, LSU, Florida State. Yeah, you like the hard ones. Yeah, well, General Chow, I told you, I found that the sauce has sugar in it. Thank you, Bobby. I might get the other Chinese. There's like a Hunan chicken, which is chicken and veggies in a different sauce. I might get that once in a while now. Because the General Chow, like I'm telling her, I can't have sugar. I got to be careful. And she's given me this sweet sauce, and like I said, I started feeling bad. So last time it was good. I got it on the side, and I just dipped a little bit, so I didn't have the same amount of sauce. So that was good. So I don't know. I'll get one or the other, but definitely Chinese. So I'm gonna go swim, and then I'm gonna go watch the Oregon-Washington game when I come home. And otherwise, good luck to you. Never pay tax on their gold and silver. Although on eBay, if it's under $500, you would pay tax on it. Because I asked them, do you charge tax? Because I thought I'd maybe get some because my guy was running out of gold. But again, he had, I think, 3 or 4 Maple Leafs, and he had three Maple Leafs, and he had 2 of the Buffalo 1 ounce gold US, and then he had all these Credit Suisse he had 5 grams, and then he had 1 ouncers. I don't like the bars, and I'd rather have the coins. And that was it. He had no quarters. He had his 3 dimes. He's still trying to sell for $2.50, and I go to the guy, what the fuck are you doing? You need to lower the price on them, but I know you paid $2.50, so you don't want to get a loss. But that's the cost of doing business. We're at the mercy of spot. Now, if you hold them for another 6 months, you'll be getting $25,000 for them. So understand that. So he should just put them away. He's never going to get $2.50 for them. And we're not stupid. We know what he's doing, or at least I know what he's doing. All right, I think that's it. I've got to figure out how to get my site back. I don't know what else to do. I would prefer finding another server, but I can't believe it's still out. All right, everybody. Have a good day. www.teaserking.com. I'll be on 11 tomorrow. We'll talk pro. We'll look at some of these games about what we want to do. All right. Take care, everybody. Have a good night. www.teaserking.com when I get the site. Otherwise, email me if you want to buy tomorrow or today. I got 3 locks going. So I'm still doing the picks. I'm just emailing them. All right. Thanks. Have a nice day. Take care.